goes with
Hell
you.
yeah.
Because we're gonna end up talking for a while. I mean, after that awkward thing I just put you through. So everyone listen, I'm making maybe possibly a film. I don't know yet because I'm at that point where it's like I could bail out any minute. There's not a whole lot invested into it, but it's a good idea. But everything's just awkward. And I was watching like a lot of I think it was documentaries. I saw the Zodiac movie, which I'm probably like one of the last people to see that with Robert Downey Jr., Jake
Oh
Gyllenhaal.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's good, man. I've seen it like 3 times, but it's 3 hours long. And I'm like, I want to make something that's just a bunch of like to capture the essence of what this show kind of does that has no general sense of direction. I think the best way to do that is to use some of the guests that were involved in it, like yourself.
Hey man, I appreciate you, bro. Like I said, man, I applaud you for doing something that you are wanting to do because a lot of people don't go out their way to do their what they would like to do in life, So I commend you, brother. Keep on getting it, man. Like I say, little bits by little bits, my man. That's all it is.
It was either that or take a vacation. And vacation sounds fun, but I don't know. I'd rather just do this. To be honest, it's cheaper. I don't have to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
anywhere. I mean, you went to Puerto Rico, man.
yeah. I was about to say, man, I went to Puerto Rico, man. Yeah, it's the first time I've been to Puerto Rico. Now I've been out the country quite a few times, but Puerto Rico, it was cool because well, it was we had a little hiccup at first because neither me or my girl were vaccinated. So you have to submit all this paperwork to the government, the Puerto Rican government, so it'll let you in the country to begin with.
Mm.
And we took the test, like their website said to take the certain test, or we could either take the antigen test or it was another test, the rapid test or the one that takes 3 days.
Yeah.
We took the rapid test. We went to submit everything. And at the very end where it says submit, it said, hey, the test you took, we don't accept. I'm like, but it said it on their website that it would accept it until we hit submit. So we had to miss one day, go back, retake all these other tests again. And we finally made it down there, man. The beach was nice. We went down there for a destination wedding, which was cool. And they had it in the rainforest out there. So we went from the beach to the rainforest, man. The shit was fucking beautiful, bro. I mean, the funny thing about that was Puerto Rico has, some old vehicles, you know what I mean? And the
Like
bridal
Beatles and
party
shit,
told,
right?
huh?
Like
It was
VW Beatles.
not really those, but it was like their industrial vehicles. They're very old, like the bus, the bus that we took. The bridal party told us that there was a bus that's going to pick us up, and we're all standing outside the resort, just waiting on this. Like, I'm thinking it's going to be like 3 or 4 little vans, bus vans that pick us up and take us
Yeah.
wherever. It was this actual real charter bus, but the charter bus was a little suspect. And I'm looking, I'm like, man, this Joker is old. Like this is an old bus right here. Like we got on it, and it still had the gray and black TVs, like 3 TVs on the charter bus, man. You might be too young to remember the gray and black TVs, man. You know what I'm saying? And then the roof was leaking, but the guy that was driving the bus, right? He was whipping this bad boy, young. He had people in the back screaming because we're on these narrow roads. Like we left out of San Juan and we went straight to the jungle, and it was cool because these roads, like they were narrow roads, they're just going straight up a mountain, and this dude is whipping this bus. And I was like, you know what, man, I drive. My alias is a transporter, you know what I mean? So I dapped him up. I'm like, yo, man, you whip this motherfucking bus like you the shit right now. You the man. You know what I mean? It's gonna be interesting how you're gonna get us back because when we leave out this jungle, it's gonna be pitch fucking black. And sure as shit, it was. I mean, it was like I ain't never seen dark like this before. And I live out in the sticks. So, having the jungle dark versus some country dark is totally different, right?
Well, you don't even
And
have like the moon to be able to help you out because you got all those trees that are all around you.
well, see, that's just it. It wasn't even a full moon that night. It was because we had it rained a little bit up there. Like the rain was crazy because it would like rain for a quick second, then stop, and then it'd be good for a while. Then all of a sudden it rain again and then stop. It was doing that off and on the entire night. We were out there. Which it was cool though. What I mean, it kind of added to the ambiance of
Cool, man.
everything. You
I
know what I'm
fucking
saying?
hate it when it's moist out. When it's just moist and everything's damp.
Yeah, that shit. It changes your mood. You know what I'm saying? So we're out there and we hear they got these frogs called Oh, chichiwi, I think is what they were, because that's the sound they make when they croak, whatever, right? So the guy
Hold
was
on.
like, "Oh man,
The sound they make when they kill a man, the chichiwi.
that's it. Yeah, it sounds like a setup, right?" Because the guy was like, "Man, I bet you if you flash your light from your phone into the jungle, you'll see all these little frogs looking at you." I'm like, "Well, I'm also thinking like if I flash my light into the jungle, I'm gonna see a lot of eyes looking back at me." And I'm like, I'm pretty good without knowing what's looking at me right now. You know what I mean? Because if I see a whole bunch of eyes looking at me, I'm getting my ass on the bus and I'm locking everybody the fuck out. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like y'all gonna be on your own out this bitch. You know, I see, that movie Ruins and all this other shit like The Scent and As is Above Below, whatever that movie is, man, where people go out to these destination places and they get fucked up. You
I
know
think
what I'm
it's just
saying?
because it's like the difference in like I guess countries I would say, or depending on the areas that you're from. Like I had my grandpa say this best to me recently. I've been thinking about this a lot because I was talking to him. I was like, I'm 23. I would like to get a gun. I don't really care to shoot, but I like to go shooting like skeet and stuff. I like to have fun out in the fields and like shoot targets or something like that. I see a lot of
Yeah.
videos all the time. And he was like, "Can I ask? Let me ask you a question." I said, "Okay, what's up?" And he goes, if you had a gun and someone broke into your house, would you use it? And I said, "Yeah, probably to defend myself. I don't want to die." He goes, okay. Now, if you had a gun and you had it in your car or something, you got mad, would you pull that out just to flash it and show somebody to act like you're better? And I'm like, that's a really good question. Because how
Yeah.
many times
Nah.
do you get mad and don't even think? You just have road rage to the point, but like to pull out a gun. He goes, the difference between a person that acknowledges that issue, that problem of pulling out a gun in a situation that doesn't call for a gun, it all counts for the heat of the moment. He goes, you start to see is like, because he's from Baltimore, he lives in Baltimore. And he's like,
Gotcha,
what
gotcha.
happens is
Yeah.
whenever kids pull out guns here, it's all this, it's because they don't feel like they don't have any power. And they feel
Mm-hmm.
like if they're being taken advantage of, they don't like, it's like you don't like authority. He's talking to me. He's like, you don't like
Yeah.
authority. He goes, that's the whole thing is that there hasn't been respect. People either want respect or people feel like they can get away with things. There's a line of wanting respect and then feeling like
Mm-hmm.
you can just push over other people. He goes, make sure you understand that line is very, very thin. And the legal system, it's even thinner. And I was
Oh
thinking about
yeah.
it. I was like, yeah, I was like, a lot of this stuff gets misunderstood as people not understanding another person. Like, oh, that person was crazy. That person's a punk. It's like, is it? Or is it just a concept of like, I think we're misunderstanding things. And I think when you go to another country, our first thing, for instance, if I'm walking down the street at night and I see eyes or something light up in the forest, I'm thinking someone's out there trying to get me. But in the forest, those people aren't thinking that. They're like, oh, it's a creature or it's some type of thing that lives out here. Because now you've
Yeah.
separated. Because in society, in a city, for instance, if you get mugged or if you're walking around at night all by yourself, even though there's lights on, it's a different type of fear because you know it's another person that's going to be coming
Mm-hmm.
after you. When you're in the jungle, you stepped into their home. This is
Uh-huh.
not the same level now, so you understand that now you're entering their territory, and it's not even an attack aspect; it's a protective
Nah.
aspect. It's
That's
like
yeah, exactly.
when we see videos of geese, they're not, maybe in their heads, they're probably Karens. They're probably the most like, get away from me, get away from
You
me.
ain't never lied because them fuckers are some assholes.
Yes,
Geese have such entitlement
kill them all.
mindset in them.
Kill them all.
It makes no fucking sense. Like, have you ever seen a group of them go across a road
Oh my
and how they
God.
just look at you with like this disgust? Like, you better fucking
They
stop.
can fly over the fucking street too, and they don't do that.
They don't do it because they know they don't have to.
Oh my
That's
God.
that entitlement fucking thing. And them geese got that real entitlement like mindset, yo.
I don't trust an animal with that type of confidence because I don't even have that type of confidence. We see people that will walk across the road and be like, you're going to stop. And it's like, well,
Bruh,
at this
look,
time in society, I don't think people stop anymore. I think
nah,
they just
look,
go. He had
check
COVID
this
and
out.
hit him with a car.
Look, check this out. So I'm one of them cats that will walk across the fucking road. You know what I mean? Because I'm a big dude. And when people see me, they're like, oh shit, yeah, he's gonna fuck up my car if I hit this son bitch. You know what I mean? So like we'll be at the store and shit. Cause you see people when you go to the grocery store or whatnot, you see them walk out in the road. It's like, fuck you, I'm walking out this
Yeah.
road. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know what? And I remember when I was younger, I said this shit to my mom. I'm like, Mom, you tell us to stop and you let all these cars go by. I'm like, fuck that. All these other people just walking out in front of these motherfuckers. I'm gonna do the same shit and see what happens. Sure as shit, motherfuckers stop. I'm like, all right, cool. You got the assholes that sometimes they don't stop. They like, break check real quick in front of you. But I'm one of them assholes that do that shit, man. I only do it at supermarkets though. You know what I mean? Because you can't go but so fast in that parking lot.
I would only do that if it was like a FedEx truck or a UPS truck, because that's how freaking Morgan Tracy got paid. He had like an
Oh
old
yeah,
delivery truck
yeah,
run over his foot. Like
yeah.
that's an understandable thing, but like if it's just a random person, I don't know if this person's an alcoholic. I don't know if this person is
That's
whatever.
also true.
There's so many hit and run stories now where I'm like, you start like, there's a lot of that happens a lot in my town because my town's a beach resort. And I'm looking through
Okay.
these newspaper articles, you know, Ocean City. It's like you see a bunch of kids coming down here. Kids get killed by cars. They don't find the killer. The guy just drives off, gets in,
Drives off.
runs. So I'm like, it's probably one of those scenarios mixed in the batch. So I'm like, I'm not going to take the look, dude. Back when I used to be like, when I was a kid and I used to go down, like, because I lived on 12th Street, CVS was on 18th Street. I would ride my fucking skateboarder bike all the way to 18th Street, get a Ben and Jerry's ice cream, take it all the way back home, and that would be my fucking gaming night. I would just eat Ben and Jerry's ice cream, play video games while nobody was home. But every time I'd go to that CVS and I'd go get my ice cream, whatever it is, there was always just random shit happening. Like I feel like I've talked about this before. I get placed in scenarios I don't think normal people get placed in scenarios on. And it's like if you were high and you were in a scenario, like this is a really weird fucking scenario to be in. That's just been my life. I'm fucking skating to CVS to go pick up Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I see people selling drugs, and I'm like, I shouldn't be here. Like, there's no one else on this street. This is a
Uh-huh.
side street. This isn't a common road. This probably happens more often than not, and I should not be in this situation. And they just fucking stare at me. The next thing I know, I have a car that's just slow following me all the way to the fucking inside the CVS where I had to wait 45 minutes in there to make sure that car left. And I'm like, I'm going to end up being killed because God is like, I'm just going to make your life a little bit different than everybody else. I'm going to make it a fucking meth head life. And then you're going to throw me in this fucking batch where everything is just twisted.
Well, look, I always look at things in a different light. Like, all right, so those experiences that you had give you and develop the character that you are today.
I'm a
You know what I
schizo.
mean?
I'm a fucking schizo. I'm a fucking nut job. That's what it is, dude. People go like, what the hell? Like, I can't describe Robbie as a good person or a bad person. He's just Robbie. I'm like, because of all these goddamn situations. Try explaining to a cop that you were in CVS for an extra 45 minutes because a car that it was night and they drove
Yeah.
with their headlights off, which there was
Mhm.
a theory back like then that if you flick
Yeah.
your
If
lights
you
at
flash your
somebody,
lights, somebody will follow you and kill you.
and
Yeah.
kill you. It's not true. I see people do it
Oh,
all the
I
time.
know.
I'm like, your fucking headlight and cars are all, it's really weird. Like cars are automatic lights now, but I still see
Yeah.
newer cars with their lights off. I'm like, you have to purposely shut them off. So you fucking are just a
Yeah.
psycho,
You
where
cut the
now it
auto
actually might
off.
be true.
Cause I remember that shit, that was hell when I was younger, when I first started driving, that was a thing that people said, like, if you see people with the lights off, don't flash your lights at them. I'm like, fuck that, man. Like, you ain't got your lights on, motherfucker need to see you. You can try to, and like I said, I just had that different mindset. Like, you can try to run up on me if you want, but I'm gonna take you on a road that I know that, I'll cut my lights out and we can just have a blast or some shit. You know what I mean?
Play chicken in the dark. See who
Yeah,
fucking
like
turns
it
first.
was because it was funny. I just had my 40th birthday, and
Happy birthday.
thank you, sir. And my girlfriend had a surprise party for me. She actually pulled this shit off. I wasn't expecting this. And my cousin, I haven't seen my cousin in it had to be at least 7 years. I haven't seen this woman. You know what I mean? And we were sitting at the table and she's talking about, the time that I took her on this back road and she was talking shit about something. And I was like, I'm gonna take you on a ride, and that's just what I did. I would cut the lights out. And this is at nighttime. I cut the lights, pitch black in the country, and I'm on a old country road, hauling ass in the car. She's screaming and whatnot. And she's like, how the fuck do you do this? I'm like, man, I've memorized this road. I know this road by heart that I could just stare at you like that scene in was it the second Fast and Furious where the old boy is driving backwards and looking at
Yeah.
Eva Longoria and shit, I mean, that was kind of like me in the dark with the cars, And I was like, growing up, like I was bullied as a child. And then it was my uncles that told me, because I'll never forget the day when everything changed. My uncles told me, said, look, you're
It sounds like D-Day the way you said it. The day everything changed.
bruh, I'm telling you, this everything switched on this day. My uncles, I got bullied and I was just having a rough ass day. And my dad took me to go see my uncles. And my uncles were talking to me, and they're like, look, you don't realize you're bigger than most people, which also means your hands hit harder than most people. So if somebody put their hands on you,
Is that true
you're able
though?
to do this.
Because I have big fucking hands, and
Oh,
I
so
have
do I.
really bony
I got
fucking knuckles.
yeah. But he was like, the force that I'm gonna be putting behind it because of my size, it's gonna hurt. I'm like, I'm like, okay. He was like, so look, if anybody picks on you, you can handle the business. I'm like, all right. I'm listening to my uncles and they're just schooling me. They're just gaming me on shit. You know what I mean? I'm sitting there the whole night listening to them talk. The next fucking day, I go over to see these cats that I thought were my buddies. You know what I mean? They're older kids. And they were like, what was it? They asked me to count backwards from 500, right? We was just playing around. I thought we was just playing a game, so
Jesus
they're like,
Christ,
count
500.
backwards from
Fuck.
500, and I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So I'm fucking shit. I had to be about
10 minutes
seven
later,
years,
you're
seven,
like
seven,
fucking.
7 or 8 years old, you know what I mean? And I'm counting backwards, and I got like the 480 or 470 something. They're like, look, hold on. If you can't make it to one, we're gonna drag you through this dog shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Where's this come from? Like, huh? Like, and these cats are older than me. They're like, so I'm 8, and they're fucking like shit, 11, 12. You know what I mean? They're almost teenagers, right? And I stuttered on something, and they fucking literally drugged me through a pile of dog shit, right? And I'll never forget this shit. I go home, I'm crying, and nobody was at the house, at the time. My parents weren't, back then you could leave your kid at the house, because it was a little apartment complex we lived in. Everybody watched everybody's kids. So I go in the house, I'm crying, and then all of a sudden I hear my uncle's voice in my head. Boy, you hit harder than anybody. You're strong as fuck. Go handle that shit. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go handle this shit. But I knew I couldn't get both of these cats at the same time. So I waited for the ice cream truck to come. And I knew the ice cream truck was gonna hit every spot in the neighborhood or in the complex. And I knew both of them lived in different parts of the complex. I can get one and then I get the other. And that's what I did. I waited for that shit just boiled up in me all day long. I'm mad at these cats that I thought were my friends drug me through some dog shit. I was like, I'm gonna fuck every last one of these cats up. And that's exactly what I
You're
did.
fucking Liam Neeson of the neighborhood.
Bro, I'm trying to tell you, man. Like, and that day, everything changed that day because when I called them, I beat the shit out of both of them and I felt better. I'm like, you know what? After that, they never fucked with me.
Wait,
Never in
did
their
you
life.
did you follow the ice cream truck to their house and then wait for them to come out because you knew they were gonna get ice cream?
Yeah. I knew the ice cream truck because that's how I got most people when they would fuck with me or fuck with somebody, is I knew what time the ice cream truck was coming. You'd hear the ice cream truck bells, and I'm like, all right, he would stop at different sections of the complex. And I'm like, all right, I know where they live at. I know they're gonna get ice cream at this time. So once I heard the truck, I just run up to the spot where the ice cream truck was at, and I just handled the business.
Okay, I got. You're either a psychopath or a fucking genius. Cause
I
that
think it's a good mix of both.
I would have never thought in a million years like they're gonna get ice cream they're gonna get ice cream. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen. I
everybody
would have
always got
banked
ice cream.
that day for me. That person would have went fucking keto. Like it wouldn't have happened that way. It wouldn't. My scenario in life has never been it lines up that way. I never get what I want, and I never not get what I want. It's like this weird awkward middle ground where it's like you fucking okay, your parents didn't pick you up from school, but the teacher's nice and they're gonna drive you home. It's like that type of weird shit. You know what I mean? It's like
Oh, I had that scenario happen to me before, where my it was my best friend. His mom took us. She had tickets to go see a wrestling WCW at the time.
mhm.
We got to go to this wrestling match. It was us. It was me and my homeboy, his mom, and her boyfriend at the time, new boyfriend she had. The match is over. She goes, "Look, I'm going to the restroom," and I was I was 7 at that time. She goes, I'm going to the restroom. We'll stay here with her boyfriend, keep an eye on him, and then I'm gonna come back and get you guys. All right, cool. So we're sitting there, we're chilling, we're watching them break down the whole wrestling ring and everything, man, which was cool as shit because I didn't know how a wrestling ring was put up anyway. So I'm watching it all get broke down. And we look over and her boyfriend's gone. Like, we don't know what happened to this guy. Now we took the train up there. So I'm like, where the fuck is this guy at? So my best friend, he was a little slow. He was special. And he would would panic. He would have these panic attacks I didn't know that's what it was back then, but he would get upset and he start breathing crazy and shit, you know what I mean? And a 7-year-old kid, you don't know what the fuck this is. You just know that he has these issues, right? So we look over and he starts having this panic attack. I'm telling him to calm down. I'm like, look, your mom said no, we stay here and she's gonna come back and get us, you know. And he's like, okay, okay, okay. So I get him calm. Now in my head, I'm like, how the fuck are we gonna get out of the situation we're in right now? We're 7 years old, we're in DC, we're in this big ass fucking arena. And now I'm looking around and we're the only two in the stands at this time. Like I'm seeing the guys break down everything. So I'm like, fuck, come on, let's go walk. Let's go figure some shit out. So we're walking, and I end up in like the back area where the wrestlers were at. This was the coolest shit ever, bro. Because I met so many people. I met fucking the Samoans, uh, Sting, the guy that played RoboCop, because the guy that played RoboCop was there that night. Junkyard Dog is the guy that took us home, though. He was out there and he seen us. My homeboy was crying. I'm just walking around. The guy was like, "Hey, what's wrong?" And I tell him, like, his mom left us here. I don't know how to get home. And he was like, well, what's your address? And I told him my address. He's like, do you know your phone number? I said, yeah, this is the phone number here. He was like, look, let me call your dad or call your parents to see what's up. So he actually called my parents. He said, look, I can take you home. Your dad is going to meet us here. So I'm like, all right, cool. So we get in the car with this guy, right? Random motherfucker. Like this junkyard dog at the time though. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm trusting this guy. So he takes us, he said, look, I'm gonna tell you something. He said, because he kept asking us, what's our main road? I'm like, man, I only know that we get on 66 and we get home on 66. He was like, well, which way? I'm like, I didn't know there was a different way. Like, I know
Yeah.
you get on 66 and that's how I get home. I know when I see this antenna sticking up out the ground, that's where my house is at. Like, if you go keep following that antenna, that's how I get home. And so we're riding. He goes, look, I'm gonna tell you something. He goes, your main road to get home is Lee Highway. If anything ever happens again, find your way to Lee Highway and you'll be able to get home. After that, that's when I learned to never fucking go anywhere without paying attention to the road signs, because I'm gonna always find my way back home some kind of fucking way. But it was just one of the random things like, why in the fuck do you leave two kids at a fucking spot in DC? What I mean? My dad cussed this woman out. He called her everything under the sun, the next fucking day, because my dad was furious about you. Like, how the fuck do you leave not only your kid, but my kid that you asked to go with you to this fucking event? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I just had a different mindset as a youngin'. Like, I always had to I was always constantly thinking of all kinds of shit. Like my nana, love this woman to death, bless her soul. She when we would get in trouble, she would put us in timeout. Like, she would make us stand in the corner. Now my buddy, because this was his grandma, my buddy, he would lose his shit. He's in the corner doing all that shit,
Yeah.
right? I'm in the corner trying to figure out how the fuck to do the same thing we was doing that we got in trouble without getting caught.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just had that mindset of just constantly trying to figure shit out. That's just all it would be. Like, I was always trying to, like, if somebody did something to me, I had to find a way to get them back, but in a way that it would shock them, number one, and number two, they wouldn't expect shit to happen. Or if a scenario would happen, like being left at the wrestling joint, how to get out the way, how to get home, how to make something happen. Like, I always had a way to, like, what, there's got to be a way to do this shit. Just got to figure it out, but we got to stay calm while all this shit is happening to make it work. Because if you lose your shit in a situation, then it's like what your granddad was telling you about the gun. You lose your shit in a situation, you're gonna pull that gun out. You're not gonna think that, hey, there's some consequences with this shit. We got to take our time, breathe on this shit. It just takes a couple seconds to come up with a plan. You know what I mean? But you got to be mindful of everything that's going to be around
I think yeah, there's I don't want to say bullying is the answer, because it's not. It's a horrible fucking situation. I was bullied too. Very bad. Actually, it's where the gym first became a thing, a possibility. But damn it, if Mike Tyson didn't turn out to be a great fucking fighter from the hard life that he had,
you. That's
like,
that dude.
it's the critical experiences that you really get through life. I've had a bunch, but from ones that I can think of, when it comes to like more serious ones, like I remember when I first got my car, or when I first got my license, First of all, remembering roadways is very important. I can't tell you what streets because I could not physically, I cannot read the street names, but I know the
Yeah.
turns and how to get to situations. Actually,
Yep.
during Hurricane Sandy, I was able to direct my whole family just by sitting in the back seat to get to my grandma's house because no one knew what her fucking address was. So they hadn't been
Gotcha.
there in years. It's a distant grandparent. So I was the one, like, I go there almost every weekend. So I remember the fucking roads. And then, like, she would always come and pick me up and then drive. They live in Delaware, so about an hour away from me. So
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
they're
Gotcha.
like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Take this left by this oak tree, and then we're gonna that." Because you're staring out the window
The
half the fucking
landmarks.
drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're staring out
Yep.
the window half the drive with your imaginary friend running beside the car or some shit before imaginary children or imaginary friends were dead. Now it's a whole different scenario where kids are just on their
Yeah.
phone 24/7. But um crucial moment was when I got my license and my dad let me use a 2002 Dodge Durango, which was his vehicle. He was like, I'm just drop me off of my DJ gig and go to your friend's house or whatever. So I drove to my buddy's house like 45 minutes away. And you got, your car, you're living, you want to push it. So we're all on these back roads and I'm like, my buddy's in the passenger seat and I'm just fucking flooring this car to a point where it's like, it's definitely red line. It's all the way up to the fucking flat as the pedal could go. And
Yeah.
then all you see is, well, there's that little yellow arrow thing telling you that there's going to be a sharp left in a minute. And I see that and I slammed, I guess, way too late. And I go and try and the car starts to kind of drift a little bit or skid because it's not
Yeah.
gripping anything.
Fishtail.
And this was like during like winter months. So this was like, it was wet. It was, a little bit cold, freezing. So I was sliding and my brakes were not stopping me. So then I had to turn it the other way, like in the movie Cars, where he's like, turn the
Yeah.
other way.
Yeah.
And I did that shit. And I literally just the front, like right part of the tire just went down into like the kind of like a gutter thing, but ripped itself out. And then I stopped dead in the middle of the fucking street. And my buddy was like, we almost just fucking died. And I was like, I don't think we almost died, but we definitely would have been like, have to call AAA or something, but I'm not going to push anymore. And I've drove straight ever since that happened when I was like 17 years old, basically. But not even a week later after that happened, I actually had my buddy on the podcast, not the one that was in the car with me, but another one from my school, to talk about this scenario in depth. I think it was like episode 56 or something. His name's Timmy Gingrich. A week after that incident with my buddy, he got into a car crash where he killed his passenger, got his
Damn.
foot completely ripped off. He's got a scar he had to get a facial like reconstruction surgery. He had to get a bunch of shit, and his life has been permanently changed from drinking and driving. He actually goes and talks to kids now about the dangers of it. But it's those scenarios where I'm like, I'm happy that I had a bunch of small stuff happen to me where I didn't lead to something bigger like that. And then like I have a thing now where it's like I'll never go out to eat. Fucking fitness is kind of like a reason for that. But also I went to Ponzetti's, like this sub shop pizza style place in my town. And
Yeah.
I was with my buddy and then another kid from our school, and we were bodyboarding all day. This was like my senior year of high school. So I was probably 17, almost close to 18 at the time. And the woman comes over and goes, my buddy's car just died right in the parking lot. So he's like, "Do you have a battery jumper cable?" She's like, "No, but I can probably get you some." She's probably going for a tip, at good service or something.
Yeah.
She never gave us fucking jumper cables. But we're ordering, and she goes to me, she goes, "What do you want?" I was like, "Can I get a Diet Coke? And then can I get the same thing I always get at Wawa when they do the Hoagie Fest, which is a
Yeah.
cheesesteak with lettuce and black pepper on it. That's it. That's all I want."
Keep it simple.
She goes, "Okay, that's good. I'll make that." And then goes over to my buddy, and my buddy's like, "I'll just have the same." And then the other guy that's with us goes, "I'll just have the same too." So we're all getting three the same fucking thing. So food comes down, mine comes in first. So I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and say grace and wait. I'm going to bite into this fucking thing. I go and I bite. There's that sword toothpick right in the middle of the fucking sandwich, dude.
Yeah.
Pierces the top of my jaw and then the bottom part of it. I'm like, oh, and then everyone just sees what I did. And then they check their sandwich because it was hidden in the thing. And they pull it out. They're like, "Oh, thank God you went first." I was like, but like,
but look,
it's shit like that that's critical that I'm like, I'm glad I sucked at that moment, but I'm glad I had those because they really bring on wisdom later in life of like, make sure you're checking what you're eating before you put it into your body. Make sure you're fucking understanding that your life is very, very precious and a quick turn off the road can end that in a split second. If anything, I would have hurt my buddy and that would have been a terrible scenario.
Like hell, I went through countless of shit like that being younger, man. Like
We got to get back
And
to
it's
Puerto
funny that
Rico
you
at some
say that,
point. We got to get back to
huh?
Puerto Rico at some point.
Oh man, like, but yeah. So all right. So look, we'll get
Well,
back to
no,
Puerto
oh,
Rico then.
go finish your thing and then we'll go back.
Well, being a youngin, I think that being young and stupid, they say you're young and dumb, which we all are. We're young and stupid, but we got to take those lessons that we learn, and hopefully they're not tragic lessons, and build on them. Like, all right, I know I can't do this certain dumb shit here. You know, me and my homies, when we talk about shit, we'll have those reminisce moments about, hey man, remember when we did this dumb shit? Like, now look where we are. We've made it through that shit. We didn't do nothing too drastic or too out of the way dangerous. I mean, we press boundaries, but we know the boundaries and the limits that we can actually go. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
experimented with shit and we know what's what. And it's like, now look at us now. We're grown, we're established, we got fucking kids, families, we're actually in a good space from where we thought was like a bad area, or a bad space or a bad situation. You gotta take those situations and you gotta flip them into good. Cause I look at it this way. Every time you wake up, you're already winning, you know? So everything in between is just an opportunity for you to do something better for yourself because you got to better you as a person. And I'm like, all the little experiences, whether they bad or good, they build who you fucking become.
As much as I've talked to like geneticists and historians, and I start to understand this ancestral memory or this thing that encodes you. I think with psychology, the environmental influences, everything that you experience in your life, necessarily, I don't think it's fate that you experience them, but I think they're pathways where hopefully you get a better scenario than the worst possible outcome, which is in terms death. But they really kind of consume the genetic code of who you are as a person. I think you instill those values. And like, for instance, a lot of these kids that are being like my age, a lot of them come from either they had really good childhoods or they had not parents that weren't really there. And then you
Yeah.
see the basis of growth upon that, the one that where there may be a really good family home, that person is kind of a little bit dependent on their parents still. And then there's the more independent thinking ones, which are people that have learned to survive because they were the only ones that could use the things or the situations that they were put in. There was no one else around to help pull them out. Hopefully you had a grandparent. I think grandparents were an important part in that as well
Yeah.
too. But you're seeing the change with kids coming up now. There's a lot of parents that are so involved, and there's this big push of like, you can't leave your kid on, they can't walk to the bus stop alone. It's like, fucking, I used to walk to fucking school. Like,
But see,
what are
that's
we
the
talking
crazy
about?
shit where we're at now. Cause I remember being a child and I walked a quarter mile. Well, not that, no, I walked a mile from kindergarten. I was a kindergartner,
Jesus Christ.
4 or 5 years old,
You could
young.
have been kidnapped.
That's what I'm saying. But it never dawned on me that I could be kidnapped. It never dawned on anybody because it's like, this was shit, 85. You know what I mean? And I'm walking home from kindergarten. I would take the bus to school and then I would walk home every day. My grandma would be setting, she would stand out in front yard. So I know what house I would have to go to because I remembered how to get to the house. There were so many different ways to get to the house, but the quickest way was to walk down this way, this way, this way. And you had to make sure that you ducked at the greenhouse because the greenhouse had this dog that would go ballistic ape shit and chase you if it saw you. You know what I mean? So that was the only like adrenaline rush. Like, all right, there's the greenhouse. You got to psych yourself up. Duck. That's the only worry I had. Duck at the greenhouse to get home. Now I couldn't have my kids do that. I couldn't have them walk a mile from their school to home because it would bother me in my head. It'd be like, you know what, somebody can snatch my kid up. Granted, my son has his phone, and he would look out for his sister. My sister is just a tough little girl, but I mean, not my sister, my daughter. And at the same time, like, I still worry about that. Even when, they're not with me and they're with their mom, it's like something could always happen, especially how things are in the world today, that it's just more rampant shit. And I don't even know if it's even more rampant that people are getting snatched up and shit like that. I think it's being reported more. You know what I mean? Because back then
Yeah.
it probably couldn't get, or if it was reported, it was just in that town or that state or that county in their paper or whatever. It didn't make the world news. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
But
we're
I
seeing a
can't
lot
see
of that
that with my
now.
kids. Huh?
we're seeing a lot of shit. Like there was just that concert that just happened with
Yo, that shit was crazy.
that see that there's a weird thing in society where it's like you're literally I was wondering, I was like, did someone get shot? Did something happen in Texas with all like it was 13 people I think that were killed and then like 20 something that were rushed to the hospital or something like that. But no, it was there were so many people there that the someone I was reading a story about a person that was there, like a journalist or something. She was like, the
Hmm.
air was hot, it was Texas heat, weather. And I'm like, wait, this just it was for what are you talking about? We're in winter right now, but I guess apparently it was hot that night. Everybody's around each other, got everybody's body heat going around, but you couldn't breathe already. And there were so many people that it made it even harder to breathe. And people were just trampling other people and stomping on other people and just a rampant mess. And all these a bunch of people died. I think it was like a bunch of kids that were like 17, 18 years old, then a couple 23-year-olds, and then there was like a 27-year-old that was killed, and then a bunch were rushed to
Hmm.
the ECU. And I was like, man, like I hate it because I know if I turn on the news right now, they're gonna spin it to be like a race thing. They're gonna do that, and I don't. This is my
It's
issue.
always either race, young, or whatever. They throw all that shit in there, that divisive shit they always throw in. And it's, me and my buddy, we were talking about this not too long ago. Like we were talking about, we should do a news broadcast and report the news without race. Just hey, this happened to these people. This is what happened at this place. This person got killed by a man killed another man. And just keep it simple. I was like, yeah, because people get tired of being divided. I believe, at least in my mind, I'm tired of fucking all this division shit that's going
I
on.
mean, we're seeing it, and it's like we. I just saw that a lady that said something about killing all white people or something. Did you see that?
Uh,
Oh God, I have to look this up because what she said was just so insane. She's been trending on Twitter for the past couple of days, but it was some like journalist talking about critical race theory, and she was like, "It's because they all need to be exterminated." She was talking about white people, and everyone's like, "What'd you just say?" Like I'm like
uh.
I don't know, like I don't understand this whole divisiveness of that. You need to put everything into a category. I'm gonna find this. Oh, I'm gonna find this real quick, and then
But I think it's just the mindset because people have been divided for so long, and I also believe that old saying where if you keep a people what is it, divided, you can conquer. You can control the mindset of people. And now you got people with the vax and unvaccinated people, you know what I mean? And it's like everybody has a right to choose what they want. We're supposed to be land of the free, right? Free religion, free you think what you want to think, say what you want to fucking say, and all this other shit. But I think people got into that point where they have to feel to be in a group. Like I'm with this group. I understand what they're saying. I'm with them all the way. Whatever they say, that's who I'm with. You're wrong. That shit just blows my fucking mind, man. It's like nobody can have an open mind and an opinion anymore, which is mind boggling to me. Like you're supposed to have an opinion. You're supposed to be a free thinker.
so okay, I don't know if this is the exact one. Um, what is it? Nah, this is another one, I guess. Well, it's another one. It says a Yale speaker says comment about killing white people was meant to spark deeper talk about race. Wait, I don't. That's taken out of
So that's how
context.
you spend it. So I'll sit on here, hey Robbie, yo, check this out. I want to kill all white people, bro. What you think? Yeah, man. And then let's get a conversation going about that. Yeah. That's not how you go about some shit like that. You know what I mean?
I don't know what context that is. I'm not gonna look up into the article, but I don't want to put killing white people on my search history and then have that fucking pop up as something crazy.
Oh, bro, look. So,
It's gonna be
so
fucking terrible.
look, so the podcast I'm on, right? Like I'm the guy that does the search engine shit. So don't worry about that shit, man. I got so much stuff on my fucking tablet that I've looked up. Like, if the FBI was looking into me, they're like, "Yo, this motherfucker is something's wrong with this guy right here." Like, it's best that he just has an outlet.
It's yeah, right. You think of it as like a release shit, but like there's so many things I'm looking up half the time, and like like I'll be like talking to my buddy, like let me look that up, and I'll look it up, and he'll be like, "Do you really want to look that up on your computer?" I'm like, "Why?" And like that's like something they would put you on a fucking watch, like how to make a chlorine bomb. When I was a kid, used to be like, "Oh, I want to make a
Yeah,
chlorine bomb," but everyone thinks you're gonna use it to be a terrorist. I'm like, "No, I just want to put chlorine in a bottle. You shake that shit, go one,
yeah,
two,
you let
three,
it
and
go.
then you chuck the thing, and then let it fly off and explode, and hopefully you don't blow your fingers off."
Yeah, but see, like I said, it's crazy shit because you type in certain words and then you're flagged on some shit, and they're already watching us that damn Patriot Act shit that they put out, but who am I? Like, oh, so anyway, so you said have you ever been out the country?
Have I?
Yeah.
No.
Look, you're young. You need to experience that one time, at least once in your life, man.
That's what I was
Find
gonna
the
do if I
destination
wasn't
that
gonna make this film. I was gonna go to Vegas. I don't know if I want to go out of the
no, no, no,
country.
no,
No
no. Don't.
offense,
Well,
but
yeah, Vegas
I
would be
have a
nice for
very
you. You young in Vegas.
kidnappable face, Mike. Mike,
Oh, you're
I
gonna
would
be
be
okay.
kidnapped. No, I will not. I know 100%. I am gonna. I told you in the beginning the awkward scenarios. I'm gonna be like, what's happening here? There's like cocaine getting passed around the table. It's like I lost my way from the
You'll be the
hotel.
guy that gets locked up abroad, and all of a sudden they come out with face tats and bulked up.
I don't feel like being trafficked. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not saying every country is like that, but I'm a very trafficable person. I'm not expensive. I'm not high
Yeah.
end, but I'm bottom shelf. Bottom shelf for sure.
You're at least on the shelf. You're somewhere on the shelf.
I'm fucking next to the $2 whiskey.
But okay, so if you could go, or if you wanted to go out the country, is there any country that you would like to go to or visit?
If there's a country I would like to go visit, I would love to go visit probably. I can't, we got to rule out China. I can't do China. I'd love to go, but I would be fucking killed immediately because I've spoken so much about the CCP. It's ridiculous. I know I'm targeted on one of their lists down there.
They got your face plastered somewhere. They got it out of the blank joint just right still on standby.
Right? That would fucking suck. Hey, at least they're talking about me. I don't know. I would definitely go to Canada because I have a lot of friends in Canada, and I think that would just be, I got it. I found out who it is. All right, let me say this, and then hold on. I got to make sure it's the right article.
Gotcha.
Nope, it's not. Damn it. There's when you type in like this, all this stuff, you get a bunch of things. I'm like, are people talking about this more than I think? Hold on. This is the lady that said it on the thing, but I don't think this is not the interview. I'm gonna find this, but yeah, I would go to Canada because I feel like I have a lot of friends in Canada, so it'd be nice to like
See, I thought about Canada. I haven't been there. I haven't been up north. I've been into a lot of the islands in the Atlantic. I want to hit some of the islands in the Pacific. I definitely want to check out Italy and Greece. I like the stuff out there. I want to check out I like to check out Egypt and parts of Africa. I want to travel more. But with all this bullshit with this COVID shit, I think it's going to be difficult. Like I said, when we went to Puerto Rico, it was just a headache just to get there. You had to file all this paperwork so the government will let you in. You know what I mean? And I'm like, God damn it! Like even the places we went to, like some of the restaurants out there, they had it set up to where you had to, if they wanted to operate at 100% capacity, you had to be vaccinated. You were only letting vaccinated people in. But if you was letting unvaccinated people in, your business establishment could only operate at 50% capacity, which I'm like, damn, you're fucking with people's money. You know what I mean? And it's another way of forcing people to do something that they choose not to do. But we found establishments, man, these little hole in the walls. I'm telling you, if you ever go to the country, check out a little hole in the wall spot, man, for like the cuisine that's around for that country. Cause man, we had some mofongo. Oh my goodness. Now, I've never had mofongo in my life before, man. It's a mashed plantain, like set up into it's like a bowl, but it's upside down and it's stuffed with whatever meat. And down there in Puerto Rico, pork, swine is their main thing. And I really don't fuck with swine like that. So, but this shit, man, these sweet plantains and this pork and the vegetables they had in it, I swear to you, was some of the best shit I ever ate, man. I love the food that was down there. The hole in the wall spots is where to be at.
I'm gonna have to stop searching for this in a minute. It's taking me way too fucking long.
Oh, it's all good. When you find it, send me the link.
I know, but it was so important to get right in the episode, or it was gonna fucking train wreck everything.
It is what it is.
Okay. Damn it, I had a point to add too. Oh yeah, so I was watching Lavelle Crawford's special. It's one of my favorite specials. I watched it a long time ago, but I was always laughing at all these jokes, and people are like, like, what do you? I'm like, you don't get the port. Like he says a thing in the quote, that he talks about like only black people would understand this is that when your mom told you that once you get into that door, you don't ever open up that door for anybody until she gets home at 9 o'clock
Yep,
tonight.
yep,
And I
yep.
start laughing my ass off because exactly what he was describing, where he would sit in front of his TV, drink chocolate milk, and watch Thundercats. I'm like, I don't think that's like just. I don't think I mean, don't think I had a. Obviously, I don't have black parents, but at the same time, I don't think it's a black experience. I think it's just about like aware. Like you don't want to open up the door at night because you don't know who's out there. I think the world's starting to wake up to that. No, I don't think it's like people talk about a race issue. I'm like, I don't think it's a race issue. I think it's a poverty issue. I think it's just
Yeah, it's a classism shit because that was a big thing growing up in my neighborhood. Like all the kids we knew, our parents worked. We come home from school. We be outside playing, but at a certain time we all go in. Doors locked. You wait for somebody to come home. You had to be in the house when you get home from school. You had to call your parents like, "Hey, look, I made it home. I'm here. Don't worry about it." Because if I didn't call, oh man, you talk about some shit then. Oh, why they come home, and if they had to leave work to make sure that you was home because your ass didn't fucking call, oh
But
shit.
the whole point of that, leading back to way before I started Googling for a half hour and fucking lost what I was looking for. I don't even remember what it was now. I knew it was there's someone that made a speaking announcement and she talked about exterminating white people. And it
Yeah,
was trending for a couple of days. I don't know who it was, but it was on the realms of critical race theory, which I mean, I'm not a big fan of critical race theory, mostly because I took an African American history class as an intro, and the amount of hate that was just eyes piercing into my head because everything that they were teaching was like to fuel you up to be fucking angry, like 40 years a slave, and then they're reading off this whole entire thing. I'm like, this is just creating tension. But I joked and cracked a joke saying like when you had to introduce yourselves, I'm like, my name's Robbie. I'm white. I'm a Capricorn, and I like long walks. It's something
yeah,
stupid where everyone's like, ah, and they start laughing. Then the hate gets drawn off. But to the part about like understanding that like Lavelle Crawford was like the awakening moment to me that there was more than just the color of skin. Yes, there's tension and everything, but I think we think that it's a certain race or a certain thing of this. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I think the news purports or keeps perpetuating that cycle of hate over and over and again because it sells. And
it's ratings.
I think what's like kind of dragging it down through the mud or in a different scenario, dragging through shit. I was referencing the beginning of when you
Yeah,
told me
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Gotta laugh at the pain. But
You have to, man.
you do. And I think it's when I was watching that special and he was talking about all these experiences and I could understand all those experiences. I know what it's like to heat my house with the
The
oven.
oven.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't think it's a race thing. I think it's a concept of just, the situations that you're put in. And if that is a systematic thing that the system has always treated this unfair and unfair, that needs to be looked at. But I think that when people say I can never understand that or I can't, maybe you can't, but you can fucking try. And I think a lot of people are experiencing what everyone has been experiencing for longer than they have. And I think this is now an awakening of that. You start to see that the media and all these types of things are perpetuating this hate, this
Hmm.
racial divide because it sells and it keeps more active things going on. It's kind of like Nightcrawler. When I was watching Zodiac, there was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
purpose to all of that shit that he was doing. Why did he leave the guy always got to be left alive and the woman always
Hmm.
died? Well, maybe in his head it was
Somebody
because
has to tell the story.
exactly, but every
It has to put
time
that fear.
but in any killer's story, any type of thing that's different than what made the Zodiac different besides the messaging is, he also left the guy alive. And any
Hmm.
killing or any type of situation where there's a victim or there's someone that's survived, it's always a lady that survives because the killer is most likely a male that leaves the woman alive.
Uh-huh.
The guy did it differently. He left the guy alive, which was new, which was different. Why is he just killing the women and he's not following it through all the way with the men? You start to see this weird
It'll
kind of
demasculate them.
but that's the thing that made it sell so well at the time was not only
Hmm.
they didn't know who this person was, but the fear aspect and these types of
Yep.
things. They were printing the articles, and you can look at it like, well, he said he was going to kill more people if he didn't want to print it. You see the same shit today. In that article I read about the concert things, I didn't see a lot of the race stuff get brought up, but it was pointing out, oh, it's this rapper's concert. It's this. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, now
And I'm
you're
like, it wasn't his concert. It was a festival.
Yeah, and
from what I understand.
that's the thing where it's like you said all that, but where's the tweet that the rapper put out talking about, I can't believe this happened at my concert, I feel for the families? You don't include that in
Yeah.
there. You make him seem like this is the type of crowd that goes to his parties or these types of things,
Hmm.
rather than people not understanding the situation that someone's in. This comes from a lack of empathy. A lot of people don't understand. I mean, we saw it with I don't want to get down this race thing, but we saw it with the George Floyd thing. There's a lot
Hmm.
of people standing there watching that thing happen because nobody understands the empathy of when someone's actually in pain or not. You know,
Hmm.
this is a thing, is like when someone's being crushed at a concert, you don't know if that person's just faking to get up front. You don't know those types of things.
Yeah.
It's a lack of empathy for human. I've been to concerts. I've always usually tried to get there early to get front row. If anybody's right above me or right behind me or right there, it's very uncomfortable. But then there
Because you
becomes a
can't, you don't
sense
know what's around you.
you're drinking, you're elbowing someone in the face, you don't care anymore. And I don't think this is a factor of like, you can't blame the people that go to the concert. You can't blame this. You can't blame that. We got to blame as a lack of connection in the world. And I think you get those over civil discourse.
We've become numb to it now. You know what I'm saying? Like as a species, I think we've become numb to all the shit that goes on. Like you got those that follow and listen to what the media says and take it as that's the world, because it's also a lack of not only understanding but education. Like nobody wants to go out here and actually find the real resources and the knowledge to certain things. So they continue to be it's it, I don't even want to say ignorant, but ignorant to certain facts. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to take the time to listen to somebody. You don't want to take the time to actually have a conversation with someone. You know what I mean? People get so butthurt off of the quickest things, like that shit with Dave Chappelle. You know, I watched the Dave Chappelle special just to see what was going on. Like,
Did you
why
think
they
it was
getting
that
on his
good?
ass? It wasn't really funny,
Yeah, it was
but the
forced
way
laughter.
Dave has been coming out with his specials, it's more like it's a dissertation. Like he's up there and he's talking to you about what he's feeling at that moment and what's going on and what's
Right,
bothering him. And he's putting it
rightfully
into his,
should.
yeah, and he's putting it in a way to be like, look, you're coming to see me. I'm gonna give you a couple chuckles, but while I'm giving you chuckles, I'm gonna hit you with some shit and make you think about something. You know what I mean? And I'm really gonna make you think because you're here. You're watching me and you're listening to me. So I'm gonna make you think. I don't give a fuck what anybody else says about me or whatever the case may be. I'm giving you this shit. And you go with it and do whatever you want. And you know, that's your thing. You know what I mean? Like and I had a buddy of mine, he he hits us up in the group text because we got a group text for the podcast, and he's like, you know what, I'm canceling Dave Chappelle for what he said and blah blah. And I'm like, he's like, I'm not gonna watch his shit and this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, how are you gonna cancel somebody shit if you didn't even watch it? You gotta watch it to see what was going on. You're taking whatever the news said, and you're gonna be, this is it. You know what I'm saying? This is what you're gonna take, is whatever the news said or whatever this article said. You're gonna be like, I don't want to deal with him no more. Take the time to just actually watch the shit. And then after you watch that special, what's your opinion now? You know what I mean? Like,
I have a stance on it, which is I don't understand why people. I think this comes from forcing people to act a certain way that necessarily we have ideas about people. Like it was really weird when
mm-hmm.
he was like, the baby killed someone in Walmart and no one gave a shit about that, but everyone cared about his homophobic comments. I'm like, when did we expect our rappers to be politically correct? Or when did we expect our rappers to be
That's what I'm
like,
saying.
this
I
was
grew
never
up
a
with Two
fucking
Live
thing.
Crew.
This was
You
like
know what I'm
Wu
saying?
Tang and Cypress Hill and Easy E and Suge Knight fucking ran over two people with his car.
Yep.
An
Yep.
article was about it for a week or something, and then it was fucking
Yeah.
over with. Like you
Not
start.
only did he run over him, he ran over him, backed up, ran over again, backed up, and then ran over again.
Biggie talked about choking out or having a girl choke to death on his dick, and I mean, like, what are we talking about? Like,
He shit on a bitch. He literally took a shit on a bitch. He said
um,
it.
I think there's like this unrealistic expectation that like with comedians, I talk to a bunch of my friends who are stand-up comedians, and they're like, it's like at this point now, it's just like it's so weird if you crack a joke and someone doesn't like it, you'll either get, I hear Joe Rogan talk about you get like a boo. Joe Rogan gets a boo or gets shut down when he's doing comedy. It's like
Yeah.
you start looking at this aspect, it's like
But comedy, you can't have PC with comedy.
you can't, no, you
You
can't,
can't.
you can't put unrealistic expectations or try and force someone to change. Just don't laugh. I don't care. Like it's if someone's saying like outrageous shit, I think they get it confused because seeing someone on stage is like, oh, they have a microphone. It's much like someone is standing in the middle of the street protesting or gathered an armored thing. That's how they look at it,
Yeah.
which I can understand. But I think there hits a deeper point of like, I never expect a rapper to go up on stage and make a public apology about people dying at his concert. I don't expect that because it's not his
Nah.
fault that that situation happened, but he did. You know, you start looking at like people are putting limits on people that we've never ever in society have ever
They're
expected them to
putting
have
other
a limit on
pressures
that.
on them.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
they
think
would like okay, like you said, that rapper at the concert, he didn't have to make a statement,
yeah,
whatsoever, but he chose to. Like the people that throw that festival, they could easily say, hey, look, this is what happened, and this is we take response or whatever the case may be. We didn't stop the concert because we didn't see a threat or anything like that. Like, but I think also with shit like that is people want to find who they can point the finger at to blame. Like, you're the reason why. Like that stuff with Alec Baldwin right now. Isn't it Alec Baldwin?
I
With
think he just got out of the heat of everything now.
because I think they're putting it to the woman that was the prop the prop manager or some shit like that.
When were we using live ammunition? I didn't know we were still doing that. I felt like we have so much good
I
tech with
thought that shit
CGI.
stopped with the Crow. I
That's what
really
I'm
did.
saying. Brandon Lee
I
was trending with all of this shit. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
is that still like a thing? Like I don't even think they were filming when that happened either. I think it was like they were just showing what they were going to do. And then he fired. And then it was an actual live ammunition
Yeah,
round. And
it
I'm like,
was yeah, and I was like, man, when that shit happened with Brandon Lee, I thought all that shit changed. So then when this popped up, I'm like, how did this happen?
but you got to
I don't get that.
understand is when you have a fake gun in your hand compared to having a real gun in your hand, that weight to it adds a different effect.
And see, like I said, I can't own a gun, so I don't know.
Were you
My
convicted
aim is
felon?
yeah. I,
What'd you
I
do?
returned. I was a felon at
Kill somebody
18.
in Puerto Rico?
Nah. Can't say or deny. You know what I mean? Can't confirm that or deny that. But no, when I was 18, and here's the crazy part. So I was arrested at 18 for selling weed, right? Or they said I
Not
was
even
selling
a
weed. Now,
cool
see,
drug.
no. That's what I'm saying. Like I was arrested with half a pound, right? Yeah, my car broke down to
Jesus
coming back.
Christ, Michael.
No,
Holy
that
shit.
but here's the thing with that. That was just a light day. That was like, I'm just get this, and that was just to have it. Just like, you know what, I'm just party with this. Because I would get a lot of shit, beforehand. But I went up the way to get half a pound, and I that crazy because I told my cousin that morning. I said, "Cuz I'm getting arrested today." He said, "Why?" He said, "I said I have this feeling that it's going to happen today." And he was like, "Man, you know how you get when you get those feelings, man. Shit usually comes to wishing when you had that
Empath, yeah.
feeling." Yeah, and I said, "Well, look." He goes, "Do you want to go through with it?" I said, "Man, I have to. Like, I know this is going to happen, so let's just go ahead and go through with this." So I go up, get my shit, come back down the road. My car breaks down. I'm like, "Huh?" And have you? I had went to the shop, had my car looked over and everything. It tuned up the whole nine. Everything was done with the car. It had a good, clean bill of health. Breaks down. I'm like, "Well, fuck. I don't want to leave my stash in the car." Because if somebody comes up, they're gonna, check it out anyway. And I was like, I can't have that. I said, but I'm a good mile away from the train station. I'm like, we can walk from the highway to there. We can take the off ramp. It's not gonna be a problem. We'll hop on a train. So we're walking. I shit you not. I'm a good 50 yards away from the ramp that takes me up to the train station, and a cop pulls over. You guys can't be walking on the interstate. It's illegal to do that. I got to take you wherever you're going. I said, man, I'm just going to the train station. Like, I can walk the 50 yards to the train station. He's like, no, I can't let you do that because either I'm going to have to arrest you for doing this or I just take you up there. Fuck it. All right, you go ahead, take me up there. Take me up there. So I get in the car, have my bag on me, and he pulls off the road, pulls right back on the side of the road. All right, who got it? I can smell it. Hey, man, I ain't got shit. So he gets out, he searches us, search my bag, sees the half pound, get arrested. go through all that bullshit process, and become a felon. And this is 18 years old, just turned 18, have you? You know what I mean? Did the probation, had to go to fucking rehab, had to go to drug rehab because I told the motherfuckers that it was all mine. I was doing it for a party. And the magistrate was like, there's no way you would smoke all this. I'm like, motherfucker, if you let me go, I will show you that I will smoke all this shit. You know what I'm saying? And then he was like, well, I know you're not a kingpin because all I had on me was 36 cents. That's all I had. 36 cents to change. I never brought big ass wads of money because I knew that's kingpin charges, right? So he was like, I know you're not the kingpin. You tell us where you got this from. I was like, I ain't telling you shit. That's mine. Like that is my shit for me to party with today. And now I'm not gonna party because I'm locked up right now. I'm arrested. I'm detained at the moment. You know what I mean? So I go through the courts, do all that bullshit, do the rehab, which was like a half baked because I'm in rehab. I'm in the circle with everybody. You got the meth head. Like I didn't even know what meth was until I was in this fucking class. You know what I'm saying? There's a meth head next to me. There's a heroin addict across from me. There's a couple guys in there that are strung out off of coke, right? And then they get to meet, and I felt just like Dave Chappelle in that fucking moment because they're like, "Why are you in here?" And I
Oh my
look
God.
down.
Are
I
we
look
wait,
at
are we talking about the bit where he's at the rehab thing and Bob Saget?
it.
I posted this up on my
Yep.
story like a
Yeah.
couple of days
Yeah.
ago. I was like at Bob Saget. He goes,
You
you're
ever
in here
suck
for
dick for
marijuana.
weed?
You ever suck dick for he goes, you're not an addict, man. All you did was marijuana. And he goes, you ever suck dick for marijuana? He goes, no. He goes, well, I suck dick for coke.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I felt like, bro.
Fucking
That's
great.
exactly what the fuck I felt like. Cause they're like, why are you in here? I'm like, man, I'm in here for weed. And everybody looked at me like, and they gave me like this funky ass look like, you don't even belong in
It
here.
was Bob Saget from AFV, fucking whatever Full House, man. That's
Yeah,
what made it
yeah.
so. That's why I tell people I was like, when people ask my stance on the special, I was like, I don't think the closure was that funny. I think there was maybe a couple good jokes in there, a lot of forced laughter for sure, but
Mm-hmm.
I think when you look at his older stuff, it's like you really get to see he was more critical than anything in that. Like it seemed like, and I get it because you have 8 or 6 years or so where he just ghosted, went to like Africa, or he went away, he went out
Yeah,
of the
he stepped
country.
away. He went away because fucking what
People were
was it?
canceling him.
It wasn't him getting canceled by people. It was the network that he was on with the Dave Chappelle show was on. He wanted to do a certain skit, and they said he couldn't do the shit he wanted. He was like, "But y'all let me do this." Like, no, fuck y'all. That's cool. And I got to tip my hat off to him because like here lately, I've been having an issue with Steve Harvey. Like, I love Steve Harvey's comedy
Family
back then.
Feud.
Yeah, but it was what he was saying on his radio station that bugged me a lot. You know what I mean? Like he was talking about how he's with the mandate, which I have no problem with motherfuckers stating their opinion. But when he was talking about how people are just stupid for not getting the vaccine, like you
Yeah.
motherfuckers are stupid, y'all are dumb, y'all are ignorant, y'all make no fucking sense. Fuck y'all, this is what America has too much freedoms, and that's the problem. Like, where the fuck does that come from, man? Like,
That's how I feel about Jennifer Aniston. All right, so I had a top three. My top three was number one was Jennifer Aniston, number two is Mariah Carey, always, and number three is Leah Remini.
okay,
Mariah Carey's now my number one because Jennifer Aniston made a remark a couple of months back talking about that you need to get this thing, and if you don't, then you're not caring about other people. Like I'm tired of, and it's the same thing. Matthew McConaughey said the same thing, and I just go,
mm-hmm.
I never expect my actors or people that I really appreciate to do anything more than what they do on screen or anything like that.
Exactly. See,
So
that's the thing.
when they go outside of it and they feel like they need to step up to make a public stance, thinking that they have so much influence to affect change in that matter, I lose a bit of credit. Like I don't put it. If someone wants to go above whatever their range is, like Adam Sandler, we used to think he was a comedian or something. Then he's doing
Mm-hmm.
like serious films like Uncut Gems.
Yeah,
But now you've opened up the doorway to where you see fucking what's his name, Danny McBride in the new Halloween movie, and everyone's like, it wasn't good. I was like, because you put a comedic actor who couldn't
yeah.
break into a serious thing. I was like, we put unrealistic expectations and we expect people to do more than what they're already doing. I don't expect Bezos to be a human person that wants to donate millions of dollars to charity.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's a fucking person that wants to ride jet skis, do coke, and fuck other
I
people.
expect people to be who they are.
Yeah.
And that's what we gotta look at. And I think we fuck up in that because people look at celebrities and put them on a pedestal to where they're like supposed to be perfect. I'm not. This motherfucker's a human just like I am. This is the same. Well, he's probably going through some shit. probably may have some mental issues. You know what I'm saying? We don't know that. Yeah, we don't know what they go through on a day to day. So how they play a role on TV like Steve Harvey shit. It just rubbed me wrong, and I'm like, I don't understand where his
Steve
mindset's coming
Harvey
from with
sold
that.
out, dude. I hate to
Oh yeah,
say
he
it
did. He
because
definitely did. Because look,
I'm
this
a
this is
fan
what
of
I
his
was telling
older
people.
stuff, but seeing him now, I'm like, this is a guy that's
He
so comfortable with the position
he
he's
took
in
the
life.
bag.
Yeah, he doesn't want to say anything that's going to mess up anything that he's got
Uh-huh.
going.
Yep, that's
And,
exactly it.
I
Because he
give
was
him
talking
credit.
about
I would probably be the same
he
type.
wants to protect the bag. He wants to keep that money because he was talking about Kylie Irving, the basketball player or whatever, that doesn't want to take the vaccine. He's like, man, he's losing all this money, all this money. You give me this money, I'm gonna do whatever you ask for. I'm like, nah, bro, there's an integrity thing. Like you choose what you want to choose. Let that man choose his thing. Like when Ice Cube denied the role, that he was with Jack Black in some movie, and Ice Cube said, nah, he ain't doing it because they wasn't vaccinated. He's like, nah, he just stepped away from it. $9 million. Everybody's like, oh, he's losing $9 million. You really think Ice Cube give a fuck about $9 million? The
Yeah.
man has his own production
I
company,
was watching
his
21
own
Jump.
shit.
I was watching 21 Jump Street, and he's like, "Hey, hey!" He's like, "Stop fucking!" And he was talking about it was when Jonah Hill was talking to Jesus. He's like,
Oh
"He
yeah,
ain't got time for your bullshit." I was like, "That's fucking Ice Cube." I love him from Friday. I love him.
yeah.
But here's the thing: is like, I think everyone's got their price, and it's just really about the way that you spin it. Now, I'm not mad at anybody that sticks with
Ted
that.
DiBiase said that every man got a price.
But the thing is, you can't burn down the people that refuse to buy out or sell out in that manner. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where we hit the topic of Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle's not a sellout, and he's the type of person that says, "Fuck you, I'm going to do what I think is funny and it's going to make me
Yeah,
money." And he's never changed from his start. It's kind of like with I'm not even a fan of Louis C.K., but his comedy has always been the same. And people go, "You're
yeah.
talking about like he had a joke about a school shooter." And he was like, "You ever think that those kids that are trying to survive just didn't push another kid in the way of the bullet? That's how some of those kids
Yeah,
survive."
yeah, I remember that
It's
joint.
a fucking oh my, like, it's a bad joke, but it's
It's
fucking
like, damn, but then you gotta think about it. Like,
yeah. But
yeah,
it's walking the line. But I think it's like, hey, I mean, it probably got a couple of laughs, and I thought it was funny when I heard it the first time too. But you understand the
yeah,
severity of it. But if you can't laugh at all these dark things, and you're forcing people that they need to be this type of thing, if society's already not thinking that, I think that's why we have a giant push and pull in society. Now, if I told you, Mike, now I think me and you are the same in this manner. I think, and we're same in a lot of ways. I think we agree on
uh-huh.
basically everything. But in this scenario, and I think I would be in the same boat as whatever your answer is about to be. But if I told you, like, okay, at this point in time right now, you're going to say what you want. You don't give a fuck. Nobody's going to own you. I'm the same way. I don't want anybody feeling
Mm-hmm.
like I can't say anything. I need to be myself because my words and
Yeah.
my thoughts are my own. And I don't want anybody trying to put a lock on me.
And
But
I'm gonna stand right beside what I say.
now, if you've been in a career for 40 years and you're close to like, you need to make sure that this keeps going because you now have a family, your kids, for instance, they are on support of you, your houses, everything, your whole livelihood is on support of the thing you make. Now you're more kind of controlled because you understand that you can actually slip up and mess up all of
And
those
mess up a
things.
whole bunch of shit.
And rightfully so, that you should feel that way. But that's the thing, is that you shouldn't have an industry that is so controlling into the way that these people have become. They built up this progress somehow. They got
Mm-hmm.
to the stardom somehow. It's
Mm-hmm.
selling out for sure. But it comes to a point where I'm going to see the acting industry, I'm going to see every single industry with the people that we care about that are going to be refused to this type of thing or brought to this type of change, just like our creators, our musicians were like this. When
Yeah,
NWA
yeah.
stepped up on stage in that movie, Straight Outta Compton, when I was
Uh-huh.
watching it, I'm
Fuck the police.
and
You
they said,
can't play fuck the police.
yes, and when they did it anyway and they were taken off stage, that was something that everyone fucking loved. Everyone
Uh-huh.
loved this rebel side, and now they're refused to be that rebel anymore, and people freak out when they do. I think that's important to have that. I don't want anybody saying anything that's going to cause someone to hurt themselves. I don't want anybody saying anything that is racist or anything like that. But if someone speaks how they feel, I think the world needs a sense of authenticity, and it will be
Yeah.
treated as such. But you can't like when people like the Netflix CEO talk about, we're not taking Dave Chappelle's thing down. We don't regulate any of that. Spotify, we're not taking Joe Rogan down. We're not taking this down. They don't regulate the songs. They don't regulate this. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot fucking pick and choose. It is a one-way street on this type of thing. And
Yep.
and that's the craziest thing, is like when you see people like storming out about Netflix, about Dave Chappelle's special, I'm like, there's 1,000 other
There's
titles
so
on.
much more shit that's even more important.
It's crazy, man. Oh my god, man. What?
It's like what trips me out because I don't have Facebook yet, but I will get
get it
one.
and add me.
Yeah, definitely.
How am I
But
gonna tag you in my documentary I'm making?
like
The rise and fall out of the blank.
oh man. The cancel shit where like, you know, Facebook was supposed to be a way for people to connect, but now you got people that they take off of Facebook. Like you're no longer allowed on Facebook because of the shit that you say. I'm like, you're supposed to have freedom of speech. Granted, this is your, you know, Mark Zuckerberg's fucking
It's called Meta
platform, and
now.
he
It's
could put
Meta.
whatever, huh?
Facebook is now the Metaverse,
Oh, metaverse, whatever the fuck he wants it to be. Have you ever seen that movie, Surrogates with Bruce Willis?
where everyone can go into a simulation thing.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's the metaverse. That's what
it'll
the
get
fuck
like
it's gonna
that.
be.
You're going to be transferring your consciousness. I joked about this, I think, around episode 300 or something. I said you're going to be transferring your consciousness into the video game. And as the loading bar is uploading your consciousness to the video game and you're transporting your mind through those fucking wires, the power is going to go out and you're just going to be fucking dead.
Oh, you fucked. You're gonna be stuck in the cloud.
You better get a surge protector on your fucking
Yeah, no shit.
on your
Because
power
look,
cord.
we were talking about on our shit, man. Like, you know, we were talking about how sex has changed so much over the millennia. You know that now with this metaverse, shit, it's about to be obsolete.
That's funny that you say that because my grandmom, she's a lesbian. She mentioned this to me along because I always used to think like when I talk about I used to get bullied. When we used to go out to eat, I thought it was her roommate. I didn't know she was a lesbian until I was much, much older, like in my
Yeah,
20s. And I was like, oh, that explains so much of why people would stare at us when we went out to eat. I thought they were just looking at me because I was like an overweight kid. And she goes, no, it was because this was like revolutionary for the
yeah,
time was
yeah. It
being a
was different in the
lesbian and being
times then.
out and opened. And then she was talking to me now. She goes, is lesbian still a thing? And I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, I just see so much of this where it's like people talk about you don't like there's an article that came out, a person was speaking about this, about you truly aren't sexist if you don't care about the genitalia that your partner has, like male, female, it doesn't matter. And then my grandma goes like, what the fuck? Like, you know how hard it
Yeah,
was? I deserve to be a less, like she was like it doesn't exist anymore. And I'm like,
because see, and that's amazing to me. Think about this. So, as a society, we can cancel gender, but we can't cancel race, which blows my mind. Like, why is it on the application? Why do I need to fill this out on a test? I always, when I do applications or anything like that, I always click, I don't want to answer that question with about race. I'm not
you'd
gonna, you
think
don't need
there'd
to
be
know.
like a human box that you could check, you know. I think
Yeah,
the
like,
main
you know,
decision in
when
life
they,
is going to be AI or human at one
yeah, when
point.
they ask you on fucking like websites, I'm not a robot, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
can I check that box instead of
And
anything
they
else?
give you
I'm not a
some type of
robot.
like
Find the
captcha,
3 traffic lights,
or yeah,
the
or they give you
pictures with the
some type
traffic
of like
lights.
captcha that's like, oh, type in this letter code and you can't fucking read it. You're like, what fucking human can read
Yeah.
this?
Like, why do you have a 9 or a fucking G that is sideways and twisted? Like, am I supposed to type that in or am I supposed to type this right in?
Or
It's
just
just
tell me if
fucking.
it's lowercase. You got caps and
Yeah,
lowercases in there. I'm like,
that's it.
fuck.
That's it. Throw a symbol in the star or
Is that a one or
exclamation
a
point.
lowercase L? I don't fucking know.
But that's what gets me. I'm like, yo, so we've canceled gender. Like they even said on passports, you can mark X on the passport because you don't want to say you're male or female. But why do I have to say I'm black or white though, or whatever? That doesn't make any sense.
You know how much
We're
shit we're gonna get for this episode in general? There's gonna be someone out there that's gonna be like, I don't like what these people are talking about.
fuck it.
They're mocking it. I'm like, well, you're supposed to talk
You,
about it. If you make it so you can't ever talk about these types of
uh-huh.
things, whether it's a joke or not, you're now giving that thing way too much power that's gonna keep lingering on through society. And that's
Like
like the
shit for
biggest
Father's
fucking
Day, man.
what's
I said
Father's
some
Day?
stupid shit on Father's Day when Father's Day came around. I said, man, you know, I saw this meme and I lost it. It was the funniest shit to me. They were like, Caitlyn Jenner is the only person that can do Father's Day and Mother's Day at the same, you know, in the same year. And I lost it. I was like, yo,
God
that's a good one right there. Like, do you get him a Father's Day gift and a Mother's Day gift? You know, and I just ran with it. You know, I was like, there's so much shit with it, you know what I mean? And then yo, matter of fact, speaking of him or her, you know, or actually her, you hear that she was talking about where she was like, yeah, I knew OJ did the shit. He even told Nicole that,
what?
Yeah,
Oh
he
my
has some. He was
God.
on some interview. I think it might have been on one of the Housewives
I
shows where he's
fucking love
like,
OJ. I just want to know. I mean, I don't know how you could get to a point where you get so angry you chop somebody's head off. Did he do it to two people or just do it to one and then kill the other guy?
I think he just killed the other guy and chopped the head off the other. But here's the thing though, you got Caitlyn
Allegedly.
Jenner. Yeah, yeah.
Allegedly.
You know, what I mean, if you get his book, he says that if he were to have done it, you know,
You
this is
know
how
the
he would have done it.
the family made him put if
Oh yeah,
on the
and
book
it's a tiny,
really
tiny if.
tiny. That was the
Yeah,
family of the people that he killed. One of the family,
yeah,
they made him do that. And like he was like, all right, I'll put it on there, but I'll make it really tiny. So it just
really
is hide.
small.
Yeah.
Yep, it's right in the eye, at the top
It's
of
so
the eye,
good.
in a very small print. But Caitlyn Jenner was like, "Yo," he even told Nicole that he could kill her and get away with it because he's a celebrity. And I'm like, "Wait a minute." I'm thinking back. I'm like, "Motherfucker, you was in his corner. You was one of the lawyers." Like, I don't think you're supposed to be putting that information out there. You know what I mean?
Oh man. See,
I still
that's
think what's her name is fucking OJ's baby. Uh, which one of them damn Kardashians? The one in the I think it's the youngest one. She had the
Chloe.
fattest ass. Chloe, yeah, Chloe, the one that had all the work done.
Chloe's like the bigger one, or like the one
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
always like
yeah.
the ugliest of the
See,
group.
that's OJ. Well, see, I never. Yeah, she
They're
was
all
uglier,
attractive, but before they look like normal people.
except Chloe looked like OJ.
I don't
She
see
had
that.
to,
OJ's
bruh.
a handsome
Look,
fucker. Don't you tell me that he looks
the,
like that. OJ's a handsome son of a bitch. I'd
the
let him
face
chop my head off.
structure. Look, the face structure of OJ and Chloe are similar, man.
Who
You
the
know what
fuck
I
are
mean?
you, a geneticist? You're able to
I'm just
distinguish
saying,
that?
man. I'm
Okay.
just saying. Like, she had the size on her sisters, you know. She wasn't the run of the group, you know what I mean? Like, that's some OJ, you know, some OJ DNA in that
I
shit right
think
there.
Tom Cruise looks partially like one of those Easter Island heads, but you don't see me going around saying
I
that his
don't
mom
think
probably fucked one of
Tom
those.
Cruise, I think he does the same shit as Sandra Bullock with the baby dick cream. I really think he puts baby dick cream on himself,
Oh, I
man.
love it how like after me and you talked about that shit or something, it was trending all over the fucking place. Like it was just everyone, it was like rehashed. Like I was like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like not even a
Like,
week before we talked about it, Joe Rogan, or no, a week after we talked about it, Joe Rogan was talking about it. And I'm like, every time
yeah.
I say something, a week later, Joe Rogan says something about it. I'm like, is he low key listening to my show? Like that'd be cool. But
Hey, look, and you got, I be thinking the same shit because I remember when I was a kid, I would think like of inventions and shit to do. And then all of a sudden the shit would be up there. And I'm like, how the fuck somebody beat me to my idea? This is
I
bullshit.
have a better theory on it though. Maybe, and this is just a spur of the moment. I have not been thinking about this. So this is a right now theory. I think that there's subtle things, advertising or subtle things that are brainwashing us, like on the TV or things that get programmed into our heads that are somehow triggering something that necessarily might not be what the product is selling. It's just some random thing. But I believe that like when you watch like I saw this recently. I was watching some type of movie that came out. It wasn't Zodiac. It was something else that they had in there. It's like a came out in like 2012 or 2013, but it made me think of the activity or the proactive commercial with the acne cream.
Oh yeah, I
And
remember
I
them
noticed
shits.
it was the same lighting that they used to film that thing when their person was talking about, I use proactive for this long. They used in that same part of the movie. And that's the only time I've ever seen that. And I think that's with advertisements or these types of things. Maybe we saw something that was used in that same entire Ellen thing where that got rehashed and then just came into our fucking heads. And then everyone must have saw that and then thought of that. And then it's these weird, our brains are so weird that you can smell something and be linked to a certain memory where you smelled
Uh-huh.
it before, even though you don't even, how did I pull that out of there? I think that's with that with TV. Like the best way, and here's my idea of what the film that I'm making. I'm just going to drop subtle notes of things that everyone has fucking seen. So like we'll have Mike
Do like
Bridgett,
Fight Club.
you'll be standing in front of the Twin Towers, and then like everyone fucking. I was just kidding. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's something where I think if you drop subtle notes or subtle things that people can connect to, that everyone has really, it's a shared experience, and I think we
Yeah.
can all share an experience on something. So it's about using those types of things, and I think that's going to be the next marketable thing. If non-fungible tokens of buying moments are things that you can do now, I think buying shared
Bruh.
experiences are going to be the future.
that shit, the NFTs, I really got to get into that and learn some shit because
I own
fucking I'm
all
just
of
starting
Dave
to learn.
Chappelle's Closure. I own it all the moments
Oh,
from it.
really?
Yeah,
Shit, get it in.
I wish I did. I bet that
Because like,
stock in that is like really low if you really go to buy it.
you know what? I wouldn't say it's even low because there's individuals out here that fucking agree with the shit he was saying and whatnot. But the NFT stuff, like man, I was watching this shit and because I follow this other podcast, man. I don't know if you ever follow these cats, Earn Your Leisure. I've been listening to these cats, man. I've been I don't even know how I ran across these guys, but I started listening to them, and they're big on helping people out with learning about stocks and trading and real estate. I mean, it's they go across the board with so much shit, and they're very knowledgeable with stuff. And they start talking about the NFTs and this article come across on my feed and was this 14-year-old girl fucking made millions off of NFT sales. And I'm like, I don't understand. And I really would like to, and I'm going to understand what NFTs are because this girls, they're talking about how these teenagers now are coming up and they don't need to work because they're selling and they're making profit off these NFTs. I'm like, well, it's just a data picture of something that they sold. You know what I mean? And I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. You know what I mean? Because I don't get
Um,
they're like trading cards.
I
I,
haven't.
I understood trading cards when I was little because certain cards were worth certain values. You know what I'm saying? Whereas NFTs, I could take a picture of me and you right now, Snapchat, and make it an NFT, and it should sell supposedly.
I can teach it. I think the best way. I don't really know the full understanding of it either, but I've talked to a couple people who've like mastered Bitcoin, and I've talked to the currency aspect of things on my show about it. But I think it's much like when you have a painting instead of like using money to buy a $4 million painting, it's just a painting that's worth $4 million. So if you're able to trade something worth like it's going to go back to like Mad Max trading type scenarios where items are
Yeah,
just going to hold some type of irrehensible value that you can just trade them with other items around the same thing of value. Okay, well, I have a $4 million painting I could trade you, but you have to trade me two of your $2 million paintings to equal the $4 million painting. Money's just going to take a weird fucking turn. The best bet I can give you is that your kid's young, get your kid really interested in Bitcoin, and then just let it like teaching them a language at a young age. Just let them
oh
learn
yeah,
all the Bitcoin shit. It's gonna suck when you're grounded. I got to take away your fucking allowance or whatever, and they're like, oh, it doesn't
oh,
matter. I have $10 million in Bitcoin. You're like, what the fuck does
yeah,
that mean? It's like
yeah.
I
Because
bought
see,
this
like,
house a minute ago. It's like, oh
yeah,
shit.
that's the other thing. Like, I want to get my kids. Like my son, he's been it's funny because the other day since COVID came out, he's really been trying to figure out, the immune system. So he bought his first book. It's it's called Immune System. He just bought this book he wanted to learn. I'm like, all right, cool. Go ahead, do your thing, son. He wants to do animation, so I'm gonna get him his thing for Christmas so he can draw. Like my son is very versatile in so many things, And I was telling him, he was talking to me. He said, Dad, we went to Popeyes to get something to eat, right? He said, Dad, when I start working, I guess I'm gonna work at a fast food restaurant. I said, no, hold on, hold on. You don't have to go work at a fast food restaurant, right? I said, what is it that you enjoy doing right now? He said, well, Dad, I really want to, animate. I want to learn how to draw because he draws all the time. He picked it up from me, because I draw. So he was like, Dad, I want to draw too. And he would start drawing. Now he wants to do animation. I said, okay. I said, so would you like to learn how to animate? He's like, yeah. I said, all right, cool. So I said, I'll work on something to get you something like that. I said, don't ever think yourself that where you have to go work here, you have to go work here. You can find something that you really truly enjoy and get paid doing that. You know what I'm saying? So if you really are adamant about animating, I'm gonna push you for that. Because I remember growing up, I wanted to be an animator. I wanted to draw cartoons. I wanted to have my own cartoon. That's what I wanted when I was a kid. And I remember getting turned away by my brother and my dad saying, "No, there's no money in that. You actually have to have a real job. You have to pay into this. You have to get taxes taken out. You got to pay into Social Security and all this shit." And I'm like, "Oh fuck! How did these other motherfuckers get into this shit?" You know what I'm saying? Like how I'm watching a cartoon right now. You know, how did that person get there? But at that time, growing up, we didn't have those resources to where I like right now. I could get on my phone and Google Hanna-Barbera or whoever, the fuck that I was watching at the time, and see how they got to where they got to, where it's like, well, if my brother and dad said this, then I guess I'm gonna have to go this route. And I'm like, my kids, I tell them, make sure you don't have to go this route. There's so much you can get into. Like I was teaching them how to trade stock. I was teaching them what the stock market was and all this stuff because I've been studying that for shit past 3 years now. You know what I mean? So and now this crypto, because for a while I didn't jump into crypto. I didn't understand Bitcoin, and now I want to dive into this shit and really figure it out because there's so many coins being made daily.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I did
So
too.
it's like,
I was calling it before it happened. I said Elon Musk is probably going to put out a tweet soon and jack up Bitcoin and all that type of
oh
stuff.
yeah,
And he did. And I called it. I was like, it's a test of reliance. If you're in a Bitcoin thing for 2 years and it's just been dog shit, like you could buy 1,000 Bitcoin for less than like a fucking penny at one point. And
hmm
I was like, he's just waiting to see who's faithful and going to stick with the Bitcoin thing. And then he's going to jack it up in one tweet. He did. And then now it's dropping again. And I tell
yeah.
people, my buddy made 60 grand off of just selling his Bitcoin recently. So it's like
There
you
you go.
start understanding, like, yeah, I'm not that I wanted to get into it, but I can't. I just physically, just mentally, just can't. I definitely can give good advice on it for sure, like consulting about it. But
hmm
I think, dude, if you're really good at doing cartoons, I'll give you something I would like drawn up and I'll put it on a shirt and I'll send you a shirt.
Word, word,
I'm
word.
dead
Yeah,
serious.
I
I'm
gotta get.
pro helping
Look,
people get
I
into that.
haven't practiced with my drawing in so long. Like I need to get back into it because like I stepped away from a lot of shit, man. Like
Yeah.
I really now I'm trying to do the voiceover stuff. I want to learn. I just got into. That's why I got my mic and stuff now. Like I would like because it stemmed from a lot of the podcast stuff. You was saying something about my voice. I had a couple guys come on the show say something about the voice. Hell, just recently I was in the post office, bro, and this woman, she was behind me in the line. I'm talking to the guy. I'm like, yo, I just need a money order for this. I appreciate you. Hey, let me get a number 10 envelope too. And I go off to the side. The lady gets her shit. She walks out the post office. And I see her walk out and she's like, stop. She turns around, comes back in. She says, sir. I said, yes, ma'am. She goes, I just want to tell you, you have a very lovely voice. And I'm like, well, I appreciate it. Nature gave it to me. God gave it to me. Thank you. And it made me like, you know what? And I go
You
back to
shouldn't have
Steve
said
Harvey.
that. You should have said that my mother's egg and my father's semen gave it to me. You should have fucking
See,
did it.
I don't know. It didn't dawn on me. Like it just threw me off because it's like 9 o'clock in the morning. Post office just open. It's cold as shit. I didn't. I thought she forgot something, but she came back and just tell me this, right? And I was like, it goes back to Steve Harvey because Steve Harvey said on one of his like little quotes and shit that he was doing, he goes, "You need to find your gift. Everybody has a gift. You just need to find it." And I'm like, you know what? He goes, "It's what's the one thing that you have that nobody else has?" And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I mean, for years I thought about this shit because I remember hearing it some years ago, and I'm like, man, I can draw, but I'm not as good as I would like to be because I haven't stayed with the practice. I said, I'm very knowledgeable of so many things and I've dibble dabbled in so much shit, but I'm not very talented in any of it because I haven't kept with it. But I do know these things. And then after so many people were telling me about my voice, I'm like, wait a minute. I never even thought about that. That is my fucking gift because nobody else sounds like me. This is my unique voice that God has given me and let me see if I can do something with it. So I'm venturing out in that shit too now, man. Like there's so many, my hands in so many baskets at the moment, and I need to
Yeah.
really just narrow it down to a basket or two. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's not bad to have a lot of stuff in the fires, but for me, it just gets to a point where I hate when I have a billion things happening at once. I prefer to all have it slowly kind of play out or roll out because I'm a good tackle one situation at a time, even though I'm ADHD and I can think like multiple things at once.
Yeah.
But I just need one task because the task in front of me is I need to complete one at a time, which makes it
And
kind of
see, that's where I'm at with it
difficult.
now.
Yeah.
Like I got to do one thing at a time. Like, all right, I need to set this on the side, still keep it going, but focus more so on this right here. And then, it's been a lot of tweaking and twerking on a lot of stuff now, because it's like, me and my girl we're fitting to get a house. We're working on getting a house. And, and getting other things established and getting ourselves situated. And then on top of that, I'm still working on everything on my end. I want to get out of the job that I'm in right now because I really don't feel like driving a truck anymore. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
it's a lot of shit at the same time. It's like there's not enough time in the day. Because you work, you got to think you're at work more than you're at home, which sucks ass. You know what I'm saying? You work, the average person 10 to 12 hours a day. It's 24 hours in a day. So you work 10 to 12 of them. You come home and you got to sleep supposedly 8 of them. You know what I'm saying? If you're lucky to get 8 hours. So now you're at what? Fucking 20 hours. So that means you got 4 hours of really like downtime with your family and shit. And you still got to cook, clean, and do everything else in between. It's rough to keep all that shit intact, but you make it happen.
Yeah. I I mean we could talk a little bit off air about it too, but I got some things I could probably small stuff like I was mentioning like what we did before the podcast and everything started. I got some
Yeah,
small stuff. I could use your voice for a couple of things. If anything, it just gets you attention. You just need to create a
yeah,
voiceover page. You need to create a bunch of stuff of your own personal type things. And I have a couple friends that are
yeah.
voice actors that do stuff professionally, have IMDb's
Oh,
and all
really?
that. Ask them, hey, what advice did you do or what types of things did you do? They'll steer you in the proper direction to actually get this because you do have a good voice.
I
I don't
appreciate you, bro. Yeah,
I
that'd
hate
be
my own
nice.
voice, so it's hard for me to hear mine. But like everyone that I'll like when I edit, I have to stop when I start speaking and skip to when my guests start speaking to be able to even get into editing because I can't hear myself talk. It just sounds like a fucking geese or goose getting hit by a car. Um, I couldn't imagine being a voiceover actor. It's just hearing your own voice 24/7, making sure you're hitting the proper pitches and stuff is intense.
Like I was where was I? I was it was for the National Cannabis Festival. I did a little joint on my Instagram, just fucking around, like introducing it as a movie, what I mean? This one flower has come in and joined us all.
One
We're
joint,
all one.
one stoner.
Yep, that's it. That's it. One plant, one stoner. We are all together.
Can you do
Just
if you were gonna do a movie scenario, how would you do a movie scenario? Because you have that movie voice.
it would all depend, like, like say the Avengers, you know, Thanos has come. We are here. Who are we dependent on? The Avengers Endgame, shit like
Yeah.
that, like Capital One. What is in your wallet? Or my favorite one,
Allstate.
Arby's. We are the meats.
Oh, I got a good one for that. Arby's, we have the meat.
See, there you go. You gotta get that diaphragm, man. You bring that bass out.
I have a new intro for if I'm gonna probably take a break at 1,000, but I'm because I got the other thing I'm working on. But I have a new intro and everything too. But the beginning part I want to do I want to have because in my original one it goes, you are now listening to Out of the and then it
Out of the
plays.
Blank podcast.
But I
Yeah,
just want something that says, welcome to Out of the Blank.
there you go.
Something
Welcome to Out
simple.
of the Blank.
Yeah.
Something simple. Hit him with it. Boom. That's what I told my homeboy when he was talking about doing stand up. He was doing stand up for a while, and then COVID hit, and he would come to me with he would show me what he did, and I'm like, bro, don't take us the wrong way, but when you're telling a joke, you got to punch him with the joke. You got to stick them and move on to the next one. If you got to explain the joke, you're gonna fuck yourself up. I said, man, people want to come and just get hit with it. They don't need something explained to them. Punch them in the face with it, make them laugh. Boom, go on to the next one. You know what I'm saying? If it didn't work, switch it up a little bit. But if you got to chuckle, just keep what worked. What didn't work, throw that shit the fuck away. Because we would go back and forth with shit all the time. Like, I like this way. If he would tell me a joke, he would set me up with a joke, and I'm like, all right, look, spin it this way, say it like this. You want to smack them in the face and move on. You want to hit them, make their eyes open up. Like when you punch a motherfucker in the nose, they get teary eyed real quick. Like, oh shit, didn't expect that to come and hit me so hard. You want to do that shit. It's like a shock value. You got to shock them sometimes.
I've
But
never had an outright guttural laugh before, like at anything. I've never had like something that's
what,
involuntary made me laugh so hard that I felt my abs, like that type of
bruh?
thing. one thing was
You
this
need
was
one
that
of those in your life,
I
man.
know. I've only had it one time. I think it was like Lavelle Crawford special, dude. I hate to go back to it, but I raised that higher than anything I've ever seen in my entire life, just because everything that he says is so fucking funny and it's so
Yeah.
relatable to me that I can dude, when he talks about like, no one even open up the door for anybody until I get home at 9 o'clock. And he goes, well, my grandmama came up to the door, knocked on my door, said, hey, it's your grandmama. Let me in. Sorry,
Right
grandmama.
now.
I can't open up my door until 9 o'clock. That's exactly how I was. And I was like, oh my God, it's just, it flooded me with. I remember the night I watched that. That's how much it impacted me. I think it was also probably because at this time I was smoking a lot of weed. So I remember
Yeah.
I was really high. I remember I didn't have a job during winter, so I got really into working out twice a day. And I remember I was sitting there. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I had like an hour before I was just going to head to my 24-hour gym and just work out.
Yeah.
I'm watching Lavelle Crawford, and this TV is like, my room is huge and my TV is all the way against the fucking wall, but it's a tiny one, like the size of a laptop screen. So you really have to have your
Okay.
glasses on or something. It doesn't make sense. Usually you want to sit right up in front of it. But I remember it was on a really shitty shelf, and it was just that whole room was lit up by the TV. And I remember him just on stage, just cracking these jokes. And I was laughing so hard that someone I was living with sent me a text like, what are you laughing at? Because I've never heard you laugh like that before. And I'm like, this is the funniest fucking thing I have ever seen. And that's the only time I've ever had a laugh where I've literally I've had involuntary laughs, but that was something that I
Yeah.
felt it in my gut come out of nowhere. Like I was not expecting that. It's kind of like, there's this girl at my gym who used to be my manager. And she was like, I always know when you're about to come over and talk to me. I go, why? She goes, because as soon as like you start walking, you just smile involuntary. I was like, yeah, because I have something fucking funny to say.
Yeah.
Because every
Yeah.
time I have
And
to
I know
crack
you're
a
gonna
joke.
enjoy this
Yeah.
conversation we're about to
Yeah.
have. Like it was funny you said that because I remember when I went through my divorce, um, I was searching for a laugh. Like I was like, I need to get this gut like laugh. I need to find it. So I was going to comedy shows. I was going to, whatever I could find that was funny. And nothing was hitting me. It wasn't until I went on vacation with the fellas. We all went on this beach vacation, man. The fellas, we got together. We was like, yo, we're gonna go down to Outer Banks for a week, just chill, relax, have a good time. We got drunk and high. That's all we did was drink, get high, and fucking eat. That's what we did, right?
Good time.
I think all of us had this pressure built up in us that we just needed a good laugh. And it was like the third day we were there. Everything that whole entire day from start to finish was nothing but laughing. I haven't laughed this hard in so long, but it was great because my ribs, my whole midsection was hurting all the way around my back and shit. Like we got up the next day and we're all just hurt the fuck up. I was like, man, my face hurts from laughing at how stupid we fucking were all day yesterday. Like I don't even know how it all started because one of my homeboys woke up and pissed in the closet that he was in the room with. Like he was sharing a room with like three other guys because we all had our own rooms except the one room had bunk beds. So the shorter dudes got the room with the bunk beds. You know what I'm saying? And my homeboy got up and went to go pee. And he pissed in the closet where the other cat's luggage and shit was at, right? So I get up and my homeboy Snacks, rest in peace, man. My homeboy passed away, man, last Sunday from cancer.
Sorry.
He
Was that the
I
guy
hear
for the
him,
GoFundMe?
yeah, yeah,
Fuck, man. Well,
yeah.
this is really important. Did he know that he wasn't going to be around much longer?
No, we all were rooting for him like to pull through all this, you know what I mean?
I know because
But
you
it
threw a
just
party, you said like it was his last like thing, and I didn't know if that was like his last like goodbye send off party. Like he knew he was going
well,
to die in a couple
like
days.
me and my homeboys, we talked about it when he passed, and we're like, yo, we all thought he was gonna pull through this go round, you know what I mean? Because we're like, he pulled through the first one, and the way he would talk to you, you would never know that he was hurting. He's like, it is what it is, I'm getting through a big dog, and he was calm with it all, you know what I mean? It wasn't no fear or anything like that, but that was the guy that woke me up that morning, and he's in the living room. I hear him laughing. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because him and my man Butter, they losing it. So I get up and I go out there. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is happening right now? And my man Snacks goes, look, big dog, I don't even want to put this man's business out there, but there's a situation in the back. I said, a situation in the back? What the fuck is the situation? Like, somebody wake up and catch somebody beating off? Because that's what the only thing I thought. You know what I mean? I'm thinking you'd have caught another grown man whacking the mole. You know what I'm saying?
Whacking the ball.
But I'm thinking like, why would anybody be beating off in a room with four other dudes in bunk beds? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, what the fuck happened? And they tell me that, my big homie pissed in the closet. I'm like, what? Hold on. We're all grown. We're not teenagers. Like, why would you piss in the fucking closet? You know what I'm saying?
Bathroom was full.
Yeah. So look, so my man comes out and he walks out of the living room all nonchalant, like ain't shit happened. And I'm already losing it with the rest of them. I'm like, yo, man, I gotta ask you, big bro, did you piss in the closet last night? He goes, yep. I was like, how? Why? He was like, I don't know, man. I had to. He's like, it's not the first time it happened, right? And he keeps on walking. So my homeboy goes, wait a minute, hold on. We're not gonna pass that. This is the first time this shit happened. You know what I mean? He's like, well, it's only happened 3 times in my lifetime. It happened once when I was younger, another time in my 20s, and now this man, like at the time he was like 48. You know what I mean? And we're like, yo, what the fuck? He's like, man, I got up, I had to piss. I looked at the bathroom and the light was on. So I'm like, somebody's in there. And he was like, I know there's another bathroom. And he's like, man, I turned around and I seen the door. And I was like, well, fuck. He just opened the door to start pissing, right? And he was like, he said, man, I was like basically asleep. My man Butter woke up and goes, Will, what you doing? You peeing? And he looked, he turned around and said, yep. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. This is how this day's gonna start off.
I'm so happy he didn't deny it though. That's the thing.
No.
Like,
He owned up to it. He said, man, look, if I fucked up your luggage or anything, I'll get it cleaned up. So I went to Walmart, right? I got some pet stain remover shit, like the urine shit, you know what I mean? So I was an asshole. I was like, yo, man, hey, I got you some spray, man. Here, go ahead and spray this shit down, get it all cleaned up. Well, we started getting fucked up that morning. We was laughing about this shit. We was eating breakfast and had a buddy with us. He stopped drinking because he was an alcoholic. And he said he was sober. He's been sober for 12 years. He said, you know what, guys, today is going to be the day. He goes, I know I can control this drinking now. He goes, I'm going to get drunk today, and then I'm not drinking no more until the next time we come down to the beach together. All right, cool. If that's what you want to do, no problem. We support you. He got fucked up, man. We go to the bar. We get fucked up. I think the bar wanted to kick us out because we were there early in the fucking day, just having a blast, laughing and shit. Like we were joking all day on each other. We go to the beach, and the beach is right across the street. We was actually, it was in Outer Banks, and we're going across the street to the beach. It's all of us. We're going across, and my man that had the drinking issue, he had the cooler with him, and now he's a little guy, man. I mean, small, tiny frame kind of cat. We had all this ice and beer in his fucking cooler, and he's like, "I got this. I'm taking it across the road." I'm like, all right, I gotta go back to the house real quick. I gotta get one of the chairs because I forgot my chair. On my way back to the house, I hear, oh no, and you hear bottles just rolling across the pavement, right? And I'm like, what the fuck happened? I hear man down. I hear my man Snacks. I'm looking out for traffic. And then I hear, like, blank man. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I turn around. My man that had the cooler is laid out in the middle of the road. He's upside down. The cooler that fell over. My man Tooth is across the street, like, yo, you gotta go get him.
Your
We can't leave no soldier
nicknames for
behind.
people are insane. Got Snacks and Tooth.
Yeah, man. Like I give everybody nicknames, man. So we go out there, we get them out the middle of the road, you know what I'm saying? We're going across the sand dune now. Now have you, all of us have trucked this fucking cooler across the sand dune. This sand dune is no joke with this cooler, right? You gotta put some oomph into this bitch, right? So it's my man's turn to pull this bitch, right? I was like, yo, you want me to help you? He's already fucked. He was like, no, I fucking got it. I will do this myself, right? I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stick with you until you get this motherfucker over the dude. Once you get over the dude, fuck it, you got this shit. But I'm gonna stick with you in case you need my help. Everybody else, they go set up on the beach. This man is sweating. He's got both hands. He's pulling and pulling. I'm like, man, I really want to help you, but you said you don't need my help. But I'm here just in case you do need my help. I'm not going to tell nobody that I helped you get it over this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you do need me, like I said, I fucking got it. I will do this myself. Yeah, I'm losing it. At this point, I'm crying because he's struggling so hard. Like his face is turning red. You got this vein like it's in your forehead. You know what I'm saying? It pops out and goes squiggly. Like this shit is, it's hilarious to me. So then we get to the beach and we're on the beach and we're having a blast on the beach and like just stupid shit starts happening. My man, Big Bruh, he walks off and we see him. He's like, man, there's a plastic bag. And I don't even know what made him get up to do this. He's like, there's a plastic bag that's blowing on the beach. I'm gonna get that because that shit's gonna fuck up somebody's shit. Like, I don't want that to happen. So he goes on this walk, which turned into a fucking journey because every time he got close to it was like a cartoon. The wind would blow and blow the fucker further on down, and we're watching him, and he gets to it, and it would blow away. And he's like, you see him getting frustrated every time he gets close. He just throws his hands up, and I'm like, damn, I wonder if he knows how far he's actually walked away from us. Like he's a good ways. Like he's getting smaller as he's walking away to get this one bag. We're the only people out on the beach the whole fucking time, and he's going after this one bag. And he turns around and looks at us after he gets the bag, and he's like, fuck, he's like, yeah. I was like, man, you walked the good ways, bro. He's like, man, Mike, I was committed to getting that bag. And once I started the journey, I gotta finish it. I wasn't gonna let that bag go because, man, something could have happened to an animal and it fucked me up, blah, blah, blah. So we started joking to him about that shit. My other dude, he was like, man, he's like, I just want to jump into the ocean. I'm like, it's right there. Go for it. So he jumps in the ocean, gets out. Now he's cold all of a sudden. He's looking at me, he's shivering. He's like, oh shit, man, it's fucking cold. I should have brought a blanket. And we started losing shit about that. Like, I'm just laughing at all the stupid shit that started happening. And the restaurant was the icing on the cake. We get to this fucking restaurant, and there's these women. All these different women are just sitting out here, and they're fucking joning on this guy. And I felt bad for the dude because they was ripping him apart, man. I mean, this girl was like, look at you. You're rocking a Pokemon shirt. I know you're married because you got a Pokemon shirt and cargo fucking shorts on. Your wife dressed you this morning. I mean, they're digging in this dude, man. And I'm like, yeah, that's fucked up, but it's kind of funny, because he's not shooting the shit back at him. He's like, how do you know I'm married? She goes, because you're in a Pokemon shirt and cargo shorts. Your wife did that to you because nobody wants to fucking talk to a man in a Pokemon shirt and a cargo shorts. I'm like, damn. You're just stinging this.
It would have been better if she would have been like, nobody wants to talk to you. It should have been like, nobody would, or the only person that wants to talk to you is a cop asking where you buried the bodies. And then you go on to the whole entire thing that you got.
Like, I mean, these women were dogging these two dudes out, right? So I go up there and like these guys, they look at us and like, yo, good luck with them. I'm like, we're not here to haul them. I'm actually here to get some gator bites and drink. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I go up and this one woman, she starts talking to me because I got the shirt for the Mason and Friends show with the logo on. And she's talking, she's like, yo, what's that? And I told her what it was. And, she's like, she's introduced herself. And I'm like, I got this thing where I don't give women handshakes. I always give women hugs. That's just always been my thing, because when I was younger, I was like, man, I got to find a way to be able to get into like talking to a woman. So what better way when you introduce yourself instead of giving a handshake, I give you a hug. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a good hugger. I'm a big dude, so it's like a security feel. You know what I mean?
Instead of dropping you off at your house, I just take you to my basement.
See, I got that smile. That's like, yo, hey, I love this smile. You give good hugs. So we're out there and we're talking to these women, and they are tore the fuck up. I mean, they are gone. You know what I mean? So me and my homies, we're laughing and shit. Like, yo, we go inside, we cut up in the restaurant, we come back out, and now it's more of them. You know what I mean? I'm like, they're just chilling on these like seats and shit. And my man, old man Rick, it was funny as shit because old man Rick, he's like in his like upper 50s now, And we're out there. One of the girls is sitting there. She's like, you know what? I just want to fuck a complete stranger. The next man that sits down next to me, I'm just gonna fuck him.
Pop a squat.
Man, old man Rick didn't even waste it. He said, huh? And he went and sat right down next to her. He sat down, young. I'm like, yo, get it, my dude. That's what I'm talking about, man. Fuck that. Age ain't nothing but a number, man. Handle your business. I'm out there talking bad shit, right? So then they tell us that they want us to go to this establishment called the Blue Crab. And
that does not sound like an establishment. That's a place. That is not an establishment. Establishment's a fucking bank. That's a fucking, you're going to get killed or you're going to fuck hard.
Hold on. Here's the kicker to it, though. So they give us the rules to the Blue Crab. They're like, all the locals go to this place called the Blue Crab. I'm like, all right, what's the Blue Crab? They're like, oh, it's a spot, it's an establishment, it's a cash only establishment. Don't bring your credit cards, you can only bring cash. I'm like, huh?
Strip
What
club.
kind of shit is this? Look, then she goes, it's owned by this Russian guy. I'm like, wait a minute.
Strip club. That's an exact description of a strip club. What are we talking about? It's a place to
like
get crabs.
that's the next thing that popped into my head. I'm like, wait a minute, you talking about all the locals? So y'all hang out at these bars to lure people to the Blue Crab. Didn't they do that in Dusk Till Dawn when the vampires and shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, they did.
That's the next thing that popped in my head. I'm like, man, I'm gonna get bent in the fucking neck. You know, we're gonna have to fight our way out till sunrise and shit. Like, it's too many hours till sunrise, y'all. I don't think I have enough energy and stamina to fight vampires. You know,
You're gonna be fucking taken like Liam Neeson is what's gonna happen.
See, I'm too big to be taken, man. Who
Don't you fucking underestimate them? That's how they
that's
get
the
you.
other thing, because there was more of them. It was like, there's a lot of fucking women. They tranked me and put me on like one of them little rolly carts you put luggage on. You know what I'm saying?
They disguise it by wanting to suck your dick, and then they take you somewhere, and you're not getting your dick sucked.
Look, bro. Okay, so real quick,
we've been talking for almost 2 hours. We got to find a thing to end on. Yeah.
Oh shit! Wow, I didn't know it was that long. So
finish your story.
Went to the Bahamas, right? Never been to the Bahamas. Went to the Bahamas for the first time. Go there. Me and my homeboy, we go to this club because we gotten good with this guy that owned the club down there. He was cool with us off the bat. You know, he was like, "Yo, come back by my spot. I got a spot for y'all. Don't worry about it. You know, have a good time." We get back here. His club is packed. I mean, packed, but he lets us in free. We're up in there, man, having a good time. I'm dancing with these women. My homeboy's dancing with one girl. I'm dancing with three. And fucking these three girls like, hey, would you like to go to the safari with us? I'm like, safari? Shit, that sounds like the spot I want to be at. The safari sounds tight. Yeah, I'm in the islands. Go to the safari. Yeah, that's what's up. I tap my man on the show. Yo, I got these three girls. They want to take us to the safari. He's like, what the fuck is that? I was like, I don't know, but it sounds tight. Let's try this shit out, right? So we go outside with them. Now, Heavy, the guy that owned the fucking club, he's waving at us. Like, I'm thinking he's waving by, but he was trying to tell us, nah, don't fuck with him, right? Didn't find that out till later on the next day. So we go with these women. We're in their car because they're like, yo, where's your car at? Bitch, we're tourists. We don't have no fucking car. We ride with y'all. They took us on all these roads, right? We get to this place called the Safari. It's a fucking little club, but it's not as packed as my man's club. It's like two people in there. And remember when the reggaeton videos came out and everybody had torch lighters up and was doing the dances and shit? All that what was going on in my man's bar. Like, a song would come on and everybody's doing the same dance. I ain't from around there, so I ain't know the fuck dances. I'm just watching all this shit pop off. So we go to the Safari. It's like two guys, three or four people in this place. I'm like, well, this shit ain't what I thought it was, right? Well, it was half a bar, half like a restaurant. So the restaurant part was closed down, but it's dark. And I told my homeboy, I said, look, man, those girls, where they go? The ones that we came here with. He was like, man, I don't know. I said, yo, something ain't right. Let's go to the cut. So we went back into the cut. This is one of those scenarios where let me think of how the fuck we're gonna get out of this shit right now. You know what I mean? Because something's not right. We go into the corner where it's dark. Now, both of us wearing black, so you can't see us, right? We're in the cut. And I'm like, yo, I just saw the three girls that we were with. They come out the back out of like the kitchen area. They come out the back and they had three other dudes with them. I'm like, all right, so I said, yo, they about to set us up. I said, we need to get the fuck up out of here. I said, we're gonna take out the side door. We're gonna cut back around to the front, and I'm gonna holler at the fucking bouncer that let us in because the bouncer was cool when I met him. So I go back out the cut. We go around to the front of the joint. I say, yo, man, how do we get back to whatever resort we was at? He goes, oh shit, that's just a quarter mile down that way. I said, wait. We're only a quarter mile. Or no, it was a mile. He's like, it's a mile straight ahead. I said, wait a minute, we're only a mile away from where we was at. He goes, yeah, why? I said, man, no worries. And so me and my mans, we walking back. I'm like, them bitches took us on all kinds of back roads to get us here when all they had to do was take this straight road to bring us here. I was like, yo, this is a setup. We need to hurry up and get the fuck on out. So we start booking it. We cuffing it, right? We get back to the resort. We go back to my homeboy's bar, right? And he's like, yo, what happened to y'all? I said, man, we met these three shorties last night and fucking they wanted us to go to safari or whatever, man. I think they was trying to set us up. This motherfucker looked at us, did I, and goes, man, don't even worry about that. I get took care of for y'all. Y'all straight. All right, cool, whatever. He gave us a drink. We smoked some weed with him and went on about our day. Fucking come back the next day, kick with him. He goes, look, the women that y'all, try to get y'all, don't even worry about them. It's already took care of. I don't know what that meant,
They're
but I was
dead.
like, all
They're
right, cool.
fucking dead.
I
They're
don't know.
dead.
Can't deny or confirm, but I'm just saying.
They're dead.
I've been in a scenario like that, like,
Jesus.
all right. I'm telling you, man, it's crazy. You got to be careful if you go out the country, man. You got to be careful.
That's your wisdom for the end of the episode. Be careful when you
Yeah,
go out
man.
the
Be
country.
careful if you go out the country. Be mindful. Don't trust a big button of smile like Bill Bit DeVoe said. Because it'll get you. It'll get you. Don't always do what the locals do.
I'm never fucking going out of the country now. Mike, where can
You
people
have to, man. You're young. Do it at least once in your life.
where can people find you, man? The podcast, the page, everything. We're gonna wrap it up.
Oh, yeah. So if you want to listen to me, you can check me out on the Mason and Friends Show podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, anywhere you get your podcast from. If you want to reach out to me, you can catch me on the Mason and Friends Show email at masonandfriendshow.com or masonandfriendshow@gmail.com. And you can click on my link that's J-Rod Statham, all one word, @gmail.com. And you can follow me on Instagram at JAY_Rod_Statham. So yeah, there it is, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's how we do it. And thanks for listening, everybody. And stay tuned for our next episode, Out of the Blank.